Chapter 2068. The Heaven Dragon's Mysteries. The previous generation Heaven Dragon had taken away everything that could be taken from this place, leaving only the cultivation method for the Heaven Dragon's mysteries for Shao Chun. At this moment, Shao Chun felt like he was about to collapse. Shao Chun had guessed that the previous generation Heaven Dragon had already passed the test and would not leave anything good for him. Unexpectedly, the previous generation Heaven Dragon did not even leave behind trash for Shao Chun. At the very least, to Shao Chun, what was trash in the eyes of a faux god was definitely worth it. However, the previous generation Heaven Dragon had plucked everything from goose feathers to goose feathers, leaving nothing behind. The Heaven Dragon had taken away all the treasures and trash. Even the shelves that held the treasures had been taken away. Shao Chun felt angry and funny at the same time. He felt helpless and stifled. Fortunately, Shao Chun had comprehended the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. The cultivation method that the previous generation Heaven Dragon left behind could be put to good use. Any other dragon race cultivator would have fallen into despair on the spot. They would not have comprehended the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. The cultivation method that the previous generation Heaven Dragon left behind was trash, completely useless. As Shao Chun continued reading, the method to leave that the previous generation Heavenly Dragon gave him attracted his attention. It was actually not difficult to leave this place. The previous generation Heaven Dragon relied on the faux god inheritance and his accumulations. After successfully breaking through to Divine Vein Realm's sovereign emperor in this land of the Blood Moon, he could explore any corner of this place. Of course, Shao Chun could not go to the Blue Dragon's ancient city. Not to mention Shao Chun, even the master of this palace failed several times when he tried to explore the Blue Dragon's ancient city. The key to leaving this place lay in the Blood Moon in the sky. The Blood Moon in the sky was the formation core of Emperor Wu's bloody battle back then, using the entire desolate sea as the formation core. The 100,000 mountains and rivers in the desolate sea were the nodes of the formation. The blood rain above was the core of this vast formation. Controlling this Blood Moon was equivalent to controlling the blood sacrifice formation from back then. Naturally, the previous generation Heaven Dragon did not have the strength to control the Blood Moon. After Shao Chun advanced to Divine Vein Realm's sovereign emperor, he studied the Blood Moon and managed to find a spatial passageway. As long as he could enter the Blood Moon, he would be able to use the method he left behind to find this spatial tunnel and leave the land of the Blood Moon. As for this land of the Blood Moon, the previous generation Heaven Dragon guessed that it was Dragon Emperor Shao Yun's small world. If one reached the faux god realm, one could use the Dao domain as a foundation to create a small world of their own. The small worlds that regular faux gods could create were pathetically small. The environment was even more rough. It was either a volcano or a wasteland. A small world as vast as Dragon Emperor Shao Yun's would require strong divine energy and faux god energy to support it. According to his guess, this small world should not have been so barren in the past. The spiritual energy in this place was abundant and did not disperse for a long time. The 5 elements were even more so all present. There should have been some unforeseen event that caused this place to be in its current state. As for what the changes were, he didn't know. As for that ancient Blue Dragon city, the previous generation Heaven Dragon felt that it was a legacy that Dragon Emperor Shao Yun left for the Blue Dragon race. It contained astonishing treasures, waiting for the later generations to come and take them. Dragon Emperor Shao Yun had sent those evil spirits to guard this Dragon City. No one knew what secrets were hidden in Dragon City that made him go to such great lengths to guard it. When Shao Chun saw this, he thought to himself, **T. Why couldn't he enter? Instead, he was treated with hostility and hunted down? Could it be that Dragon Emperor Shao Yun was like the master of this palace, leaving behind a group of evil spirits to test me? When Shao Chun thought about it, he felt that it was impossible. He would have to wait until he had the strength to suppress Soul Reaper and the desolate slaves inside. He probably didn't need the treasures of the Blue Dragon ancient city anymore. In the end, the previous Heaven Dragon also explained the identity of the master of this palace. He was a peerless expert of the dragon tribe. He passed the test of the heavenly law-killing formation with the strength of an empty god. Shao Qin wanted to enter the Blue Dragon ancient city and obtain the treasures that Dragon Emperor Shao Yun left behind. Unfortunately, after a great battle with Wu Chong, they perished together. Before he died, he left behind this palace. He did not want to waste his lifetime of comprehension on the martial Tao. As for Wu Chong, he clearly came back to life after dying. It had to be said that perishing together with a desolate slave was an extremely foolish thing to do. Shao Chen looked through all the information left by the previous Heaven Dragon. Shao Chen walked out of the palace expressionlessly. As he looked at the blood moon in the sky, he entered deep thought. How can I enter the blood moon? Under the blood moon, my movement technique and strength are greatly restricted, making it very difficult to soar. Egg, you came out? The black and white eggs quickly walked out, showing some excitement. Shao Chen asked, feeling suspicious, who are you calling? Of course you. Earlier, the two of us thought for a long time and finally decided on your title. You will be called Egg. What do you think? You are even stronger than that person from 50 years ago. That person snatched away the title of Dragon Egg. After thinking about it, only the stronger Egg is worthy of the stronger title, White Egg said happily. He was the one who came up with this title. Don't reject it. You are the one. You are absolutely suitable, Black Egg said righteously and seriously as he patted Shao Chen's shoulder. These two fools are really hopeless. Shao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. He could not be bothered to explain what the previous Heaven Dragon did. Egg then. Egg it is. Not calling me Bastard Egg is already giving me a lot of face, Shao Chen muttered to himself. Then, he shook his head and walked forward. Shao Chen emptied out the faux god expert's treasures, not leaving anything for himself. Furthermore, the black and white eggs gave him a nickname that he could not refute. Shao Chen was truly ruthless. Right now, he only wanted to be alone. Who is Bastard Egg? How is he stronger than Dog Egg? Perhaps. Look at Egg's sad expression. Bastard Egg must have beaten him up. In that case, he must be an unparalleled expert. If I have a chance, I have to meet this Lord Bastard Egg. I wonder how he compares to our master? Right. We have to meet him. Let's ask Egg. We still don't know what Bastard Egg looks like. Whoosh! The expression of Shao Chen, who had been walking slowly, changed drastically. Then, his figure moved like lightning, moving quickly. The black and white eggs looked up and found it strange. They asked, "Where is Egg? Where did he go?" "He was here earlier. Over there. After him." Egg, don't run. Quickly tell us who Bastard Egg is." The land of the blood moon. Under a rock, Shao Chen released his bated breath. He had finally shaken off the black and white egg's pursuit. Knowing that these two puppets were actually as strong as faux gods, Shao Chen was no longer interested in fighting with them. Shao Chen decided to take a look at the cultivation method for profoundness that the previous Heaven Dragon left behind first. He had not thought of how to get to the blood moon yet, so he could only put it aside for now. The cultivation method for profoundness that the previous Heaven Dragon left behind was very practical. There was a complete and systematic introduction to how to cultivate the Heaven Dragon's profoundness, how to execute it, and how to use it. This was an eye-opener for Shao Chen, who previously knew nothing about the Heaven Dragon's profoundness and could only figure it out himself. Many questions suddenly became clear. It turned out that the Heaven Dragon profundity could be used in this way. Among them, the one that attracted Shao Chen the most was the Heaven Dragon body. The Heaven Dragon's profoundness could be combined with the elemental Great Tao that one comprehended, allowing one's body to transform into lightning, water, ice, fire, and wind at will. This was different from when he used the light of freedom to turn his body into lightning. The heavenly dragon body was more casual and free. One only needed to think about it. He didn't need to consume any quintessential essence to change his physical body, allowing him to exist as long as he wanted. Right now, he had grasped two types of great Daos and could turn his body into ice and lightning. This was somewhat similar to the undying body of a divine Vane Realm sovereign emperor. A divine Vane Realm sovereign emperor already surpassed the limits of humans. It was like they did not have the concept of a body. They could freely change their physical bodies without any restrictions. Flowing water, ice, lightning, wind, fire, earth, quicksand. He could change them however he wanted. There was no need to comprehend the corresponding great Tao. Of course, most divine Vane Realm sovereign emperors would choose the great Tao they were good at. That way, they would be able to bring out stronger might in battle. The previous generation Heaven Dragon's profoundness also explained how to become a Heaven Dragon. As long as one comprehended 9 Heaven Dragons' profoundness that could turn solid, then merged the 9 dragons into one and formed a Heaven Dragon's heart, one could reverse their bloodline and become a Heaven Dragon. Cultivating 9 Heaven Dragons' profoundness was already as difficult as ascending to heaven. Merging 9 dragons into one was even more difficult. The danger involved was no less than a cultivator's tribulation. However, at least it pointed out a path for me. It is no longer pitch black like before. Shao Chen entered deep thought. He was not afraid of the difficulty of becoming a Heaven Dragon. He feared not being able to figure it out, wasting his effort. Chapter 2069. The profound meaning cultivation method left behind by the previous Heaven Dragon did not only point out a path for Shao Chen to follow in the Heaven Dragon's cultivation. This was one of the few ways that Shao Chen could leave the land of the Blood Moon. With Shao Chen's current strength, he was far from being able to enter the Blood Moon. The pressure of the Blood Moon was extremely powerful. In this place, leaping into the air would cause people to feel a pressure as heavy as a mountain. Soaring into the sky and charging straight at the Blood Moon was even more unthinkable. However, if he could successfully cultivate the Heaven Dragon body and raise the Heaven Dragon's profundity to the next level, he would be able to cultivate the Heaven Dragon's profundity to another level. It was not impossible for them to ascend to the Blood Moon. The profundities of the Heaven Tao had always been boundlessly ethereal, fused with the heavens, yet greater than the heavens. No matter how strong the pressure was, it was still able to guarantee that its aura wouldn't scatter and fall into disorder. Come to think of it, it must be thanks to the Heaven Dragon's profundity that the previous generation Heaven Dragon was able to leave. You didn't leave anything for me. I hope that your Heaven Dragon's profoundness can help me escape. Shao Chen looked at the Blood Moon and said in a deep voice. Anyone would be extremely unwilling to be trapped for 3 years, and Shao Chen was no exception. No sunrise, no moonset. Inside Dragon Emperor Shao Yun's small world, Shao Chen entered bitter cultivation again, researching the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. If the Heaven Dragon's profoundness ran into a bottleneck, Shao Chen would ponder his own Saber Tao. Shao Chen's Saber Great Tao had already reached the peak. However, he still could not break through to the Saber domain. Shao Chen thought, why is this happening? Maybe it is because I lost something. Shao Chen's Saber Tao took form in the Kunlun realm. His flawless Saber Tao, the state of cycle, the Taiji force field, and many other things had changed after he entered the Great Thousand Realms. Shao Chen was dazzled by this world, dazzled by the powerful martial technique. Shao Chen had blindly pursued new saber techniques and martial techniques, but he had forgotten the foundation of his Tao. It was easy to throw away some things, but it was easier said than done to get them back. The path of martial arts was like an endless ocean, and one's self was like a boat sailing against the current. In order to make the ship move faster, some things were thrown into the ocean. When the ship was far away, when he turned back to look, there was still no end in sight. Even if he wanted to find what he had lost, he could only lament his inadequacy. Many years ago, he had planted the cause, and now he had created the effect. Apart from himself, there was no one else to blame. On a certain day half a year later, Shao Chun muttered to himself. His Ice Tao energy immediately merged with the strand of Heaven Dragon's profundity in his body. They fused and converged, changing ceaselessly as they condensed all sorts of profound seals. The next moment, Shao Chen's body began to change, turning into ice crystals bit by bit. Bang! Then, his entire body suddenly dispersed, turning into a ball of flowing ice that flickered with a faint fluorescent light. The body of a heaven dragon. So that's how it is. Hu Qi. Although his physical body had turned into flowing ice, Shao Chen's thoughts were still there, and he could easily control this ball of ice. With a thought, the ice turned into a beam of light and flew into the sky. As Shao Chun controlled his new body to travel in the sky, the pressure he felt was clearly much weaker than with his physical body. What was even more mysterious was that controlling the ice-attributed energy in the world was 100 times easier than with his physical body. Hu Qi. Shao Chun entered deep thought. Then, his ice body instantly materialized a snowstorm. Everywhere it passed, heavy snow flew. Soon, heavy snow covered this land of the blood moon. Soon, a thick layer of snow covered the ground. Aside from the ancient city of the Blue Dragon, a thick layer of silver blanketed the land of the blood moon. Whoosh! When the ice landed, Shao Chen's physical body appeared. Then, he stretched out his hand to catch the falling snowflakes, which felt cold. The blood moon hanging high amid the heavy snow made the scene before Shao Chen very poignant. What is this? How beautiful! When the black and white eggs came out and saw the snow in the sky, they felt joyful. The two puppets grasped only one great Tao. This was their first time seeing such a scene. This is snow. Without the Heaven Dragon's body, Shao Chen would have to put in a lot of effort to cover this land of the blood moon in silver. After the Heaven Dragon's body turned into ice, its usage of the Ice Tao was on a higher level. However, in combat, the physical body was better. The ice body was too singular and could not control the other great Tao. It could only be useful under certain circumstances. Black egg, white egg. I will be leaving after a while. As Shao Chen looked at the black and white eggs immersed in the snow, he hesitated for a while before saying it. While traveling around earlier, Shao Chen already sensed that he could enter the blood moon. No matter what, Shao Chen had stayed in this land of the blood moon for 4 years. Now that he had to leave, he felt somewhat reluctant. You are leaving just like that? The black and white eggs turned around, feeling somewhat shocked. However, they soon understood. Those who should leave would leave eventually. Shao Chen did not belong to this land of the blood moon in the first place. Shao Chen nodded and said, I will stay for a while longer, no more than a month. White Egg smiled and said, After you go out, remember to come back and visit us when you have time. 50 years ago, Dragon Egg said he would come back, but he has not shown up yet. Shao Chen said seriously. He is locked up in the Starry Heaven's Dragon prison and can't even protect himself. He did not lie to the two of you on purpose. Starry Heaven's Dragon prison? The black and white eggs felt confused. After Shao Chun explained, they understood. Could this purple gold dragon emperor be the bastard that you mentioned? He must be. To think that he locked up Dragon Egg. A bastard is indeed a bastard. He is really strong. The black and white eggs exchanged looks, feeling somewhat indignant. They even said that if they had a chance to go out, they would definitely meet this bastard. The snow fell for 1 month before slowly stopping. 1 month. Amid the wind and snow, Shao Chen practiced the flawless saber technique, dragon subduing stance, void breaking stance, cloud reaching stance, falling moon stance, heartbreaking stance, and heaven swallowing stance. Many things were hard to retrieve after one threw them away. The flawless saber technique was a saber technique deeply ingrained in Shao Chen's bones. He could not possibly forget it. However, after recalling it for half a year, he still felt somewhat rusty when executing it. This was especially so for the strongest heartbreaking stance. When he executed it slightly, he felt unbearable pain, unable to complete the heartbreaking. The wounds of the past had already healed. How much courage did one need to break them again? However, Xiao Chun had to retrieve his Dao and form a Dao domain. No matter how difficult it was, no matter how much heartache he felt, he had to retrieve it bit by bit. It's time to go. The wind and snow already stopped. The hazy blood moon appeared clearly before Xiao Chen's eyes. 1 month had already passed. Xiao Chen's final reluctance to leave this place would end here. However, he would return sooner or later. He had to think of a way to enter the final dragon city of the blue dragon race at least once. Take care. Black Egg and 2 Eggs, these 2 fools, revealed some reluctance as they parted. This was a rare sight. The 2 sharp-tongued puppets showed serious expressions. Should Xiao Chen tell them that the palace had already been emptied out? There was no longer any meaning to their protection. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen chose not to tell them. The puppets definitely had a mission when they were created. If the black and white eggs knew that their mission was over, they would not be able to escape. If the black and white eggs knew that their mission was over, no one knew what would happen. Xiao Chen might as well let the 2 of them guard this place. At the very least, there was a reason for their existence and meaning. They could continue to persevere and protect the inheritance that their master left behind. Goodbye. Parting was always somewhat hard to accept. Even though Xiao Chen had been trapped here for 4 years, he really had to leave this time. Suddenly, just as Xiao Chen was about to bring out his heaven dragon body and soar into the air, something strange happened. A beam of intense light shone from behind. A strong light shone from behind. The land that was always dark and gloomy with the blood rain suddenly brightened. This is sunlight. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. When he turned his head back, he saw a blazing sun rising slowly at the edge of the vast, desolate plain. A blazing sun slowly rose into the sky. Its light was so dazzling that no one could open their eyes. Such a miraculous scene was simply too shocking. Let's go. Let's find a place to hide first. However, the black and white eggs were greatly startled as if they had seen something terrifying. Without saying anything, the black and white eggs led Xiao Chen to the top of the palace. A special light screen immediately covered the black and white eggs and Xiao Chen. This made them look like they merged with the palace, hiding them ingeniously. What's going on? Xiao Chen had never seen the black and white eggs so nervous before, even when they faced Wu Chang. Don't say anything. You'll know later. Chapter 2070. I'll know once I keep watching? Just as Xiao Chen felt uncertain, that vast sun soared into the sky. The sun and moon competed in brilliance in the sky. Although Xiao Chen could bring out the sun and moon competing brilliance mysterious phenomenon with his will of soul, it was just a soul mysterious phenomenon in the end. It could not compare to the sun and moon competing brilliance mysterious phenomenon. The sun and moon before Xiao Chen were like the desolate sea's blood moon and blazing sun appearing at the same time. Sun and moon competing brilliance. This is the true sun and moon competing brilliance. Xiao Chen muttered in shock. However, he did not understand how this blazing sun appeared. The blood moon hung high in the desolate sea at night, and the blazing sun hung high in the sky during the day. The afterglow of the setting sun was terrifyingly vast, much larger than the blazing sun outside. The sun and moon in the desolate sea were at least 100 times larger than the sun outside. Since Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun could use the moon as the energy source for the bloodstain formation, why could the mysterious person fighting him not use the blazing sun to suppress him? Xiao Chen had thought of this scene long ago. Now that this scene appeared before Xiao Chen, it verified some of his guesses. However, where did the blazing sun come from? This was Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's small world. What was the purpose of this person appearing here? It could not possibly appear for no reason. Since it existed, there had to be a reason. Whoosh! As Shao Qin watched, the blazing sun soared into the sky, and a golden sea appeared below. The seawater looked like paint, flickering with golden light. However, that was not the important point. The important point was the rows of golden-armored cultivators standing on the sea. These golden-armored cultivators were densely covered in golden battle armor, revealing only their empty eyes. The strange thing was that these golden-armored cultivators were like the dead guards patrolling the Blue Dragon ancient city. They did not seem to have any life force. The only difference was that Shao Qin could sense a faint trace of divine nature in these golden-armored cultivators. That was right. It was divine nature. Shao Qin had once been to the city left behind by the martial god. These golden-armored warriors were very similar to the divine crystals in the city, just much weaker. Apart from divinity, he could not sense any vitality or emotions from these golden-armored martial artists. He was different from the black and white eggs and the two combat puppets. Aside from the golden-armored cultivators, there were also some powerful existences riding golden-armored mutated beasts. They wore blood-colored cloaks, and their auras were even more terrifying. Boom! 100-meter-tall golden-armored cultivator slowly descended from the blazing golden sun. There was a golden flag on his back, and he held a giant blade in his hand. His body exuded an extremely cold aura. Under his helmet, his eyes were hollow, and his body was burning with golden flames. The strong aura inspired fear. Shao Qin finally understood why the black and white eggs hid. Roar! At this moment, a series of deafening dragon roars came from the Blue Dragon ancient city. One of the desolate sea's 10 great desolate slaves, Soul Reaper, leaped out of the ancient city. The originally dim blood moon. After Soul Reaper appeared, it erupted with startling light. The sun and the moon shone at their peak. The heavens shook and the earth trembled. Faint cracks appeared in this incomparably stable small world. Many visible cracks appeared in the air. A terrifying energy storm surged out of the cracks, spreading throughout the entire land of the Blood Moon. Kill! The blazing cultivator held up his giant blade and took the lead, leading the golden-armored army as they charged towards the Blue Dragon ancient city. The desolate slave Soul Reaper snorted coldly, and the army of the dead came out in full force. Countless desolate slaves soared into the air. Among them were the sovereign emperors that Soul Reaper once hung on its metal hook. Now they had all turned into desolate slaves. In an instant the two sides began to fight. A startling chaotic battle unfolded. It was a horrifying battle. With Shao Qin's strength, he could not participate at all. Any random soldier of the dead or golden-armored cultivator had the strength of a great perfection sovereign personage. Dragon Emperor Shao Yun's small world was already very vast. It spanned tens of millions of kilometers. However, the moment the battle started, it spread to every corner of the land of the Blood Moon. The palace where Shao Qin and the black and white eggs were was no exception. However, the black and white eggs seemed to have activated the formation of the palace, allowing Shao Qin and the black and white eggs to merge with the mysterious palace. The nearby mountains and rivers came one after another. The dilapidated palace endured wave after wave of attacks, but it did not collapse. The battle was incredibly intense, making everyone's blood surge. They wished that they could personally join the battle and charge in. The blazing sun in the sky slowly approached. The blazing cultivator held up his giant blade as he fought with Soul Reaper. Shao Qin could not understand the battle between these two at all. It already surpassed his understanding. One bathed in golden flames, and the other radiated a death aura. Every time they attacked, this vast land of the Blood Moon trembled intensely. This made one worry whether this small world would be broken. However, there was one thing that Shao Qin was sure of. Several of the martial techniques that Soul Reaper used were the secret techniques of the Blue Dragon race. In the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories, Shao Qin had seen them before. However, one was in his mind and the other was in reality. What exactly is this Soul Reaper's identity? Bitchy Egg is starting to lose. After the previous miserable defeat, it looks like Foolish Egg made ample preparations. He must break into the Dragon City. We can't stay here any longer. Egg, after we get out, we'll follow you. The black and white eggs chattered in Xiao Chen's ears as they observed the battle. Although Xiao Chen could not understand the battle between Soul Reaper and the blazing cultivator, he could feel the blazing sun in the sky slowly approaching. The mysterious golden-armored army indeed held the upper hand. Who is that blazing cultivator? Why does he want to occupy the Dragon City? Xiao Chen asked seriously, feeling somewhat worried about the Dragon City's outcome for some reason. White Egg replied softly, "Who knows? Both sides are a group of dead people. I don't know why they are fighting, but after we came to this place, we didn't know why. Ever since we came to this place, Foolish Egg has led a group of little foolish eggs to charge over every few hundred years. The most powerful time was when they killed their way to the city gate. The most miserable time was the last time. Only he managed to escape." Black Egg continued, "However, this time, Foolish Egg is truly well prepared. There are too many little foolish eggs." Bang! As the two spoke, the blazing sun and the blood moon clashed in the sky for the first time. In an instant, endless flames and a rain of blood rained down from the sky. The golden-armored cultivators and the soldiers of the dead exploded at the same time. For the first time, a 1-kilometer-long black crack appeared in the small world. "Be careful!" The black and white eggs threw themselves at Xiao Chen at the same time. Rumble! In the next moment, many holes appeared in the dilapidated palace. Egg, are you all right?" Xiao Chen felt a trace of warmth in his heart. Although these two fools were lacking in intelligence and had a terrible venomous tongue, they were still reliable. At the crucial moment they could still be relied on. "I'm fine." Xiao Chen glanced at the palace that could block a foe god's attack. Now, it was riddled with holes, which gave him some lingering fear. This time they will really break into the city. Haydn sighed softly. Xiao Chen looked carefully and saw that the blood moon had dimmed significantly, retreating to the top of the ancient city. The golden-armored army pressed forward, charging towards the Dragon City. When one side advanced, the other side could only retreat. The army of the dead in the Blue Dragon Ancient City was in a somewhat passive position. "Bitchy Egg is in trouble!" White Egg suddenly exclaimed in shock. Whoosh! Right after White Egg spoke, the blazing saber drew the golden banner on its back and tossed it out. The banner pierced through Soul Reaper's body and carried it forward, pinning it to the majestic city walls of the Blue Dragon Ancient City. In an instant, Wu Chang let out a cry of agony. Black smoke rose from the wounds on his body. Soul Reaper tossed aside the metal hook in its hand and grasped the golden banner with both hands. Soul Reaper's palm immediately got burned, and a flame started burning along its arm. The desolate slave Soul Reaper struggled to pull the banner out. Its expression was one of unbearable pain. With every inch it pulled out, it suffered inhuman torture. The flame not only burned its physical body but also its soul. Without Soul Reaper's obstruction, the blazing saber swept through everything in its path. Soul Reaper led the golden-armored army forward, forcing back the army of the dead in the Blue Dragon Ancient City. The 100-meter-tall, blazing golden giant burned with intense flames. Although its body gave off light, it gave off a bone-chilling feeling. Soul Reaper held the gigantic saber and attacked coldly. No one in the army of the dead could stop it. At this moment, Xiao Chen was shocked to discover a trace of dissatisfaction in the desolate slave Soul Reaper's eyes. How could this be? The desolate slave was a dead man. How could a dead man have emotions? That was not right. It was indeed a dead man, just a desolate slave. However, its will remained in its heart before it died. Like the black and white eggs, its mission was to protect the Dragon City. However, it had been a human when it was alive. Its feelings and attachment to that ancient city were not something the black and white eggs could compare to. Soul Reaper's attachment, his blood, sweat, and tears were all in this ancient city. Even though every inch of this golden banner made Soul Reaper feel incredibly unbearable, it still persisted without hesitation. The dragon's gates war venerates would not rest until death. Suddenly, the group of dragon's gates war venerates under the Qing Emperor appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. No, I have to think of a way. I cannot break the blue dragon ancient city. Strange, where did this golden banner come from? I have never seen Foolish Egg use it before. This golden banner completely restrains Bitchy Egg. This is too tragic. He has all his strength, but he cannot bring it out. The black and white egg sighed softly, feeling somewhat sorry for Bitchy Egg. A thought occurred to Xiao Chen, and he pleaded, "Black and white eggs, I know that you are foe gods, no weaker than Soul Reaper and that blazing saber. If you make a move, you will definitely be able to change the situation. Please make a move. I beg you." The black and white eggs exchanged looks. After a moment of silence, they said helplessly, "We cannot make a move. The setting that Master gave us is that we can only be stronger by one cultivation realm. You are a small perfection sovereign personage, so we can only be great perfection sovereign personages. Right now, we can only bring out the strength of a great perfection sovereign personage. Unless a peak sovereign emperor comes to challenge us, we can only bring out the strength of a foe god." Rumble! As the two spoke, the golden-armored army climbed the city walls. That 100-meter-tall blazing saber stood with the two statues at the city gate. However, the two statues were no match for him. After exchanging moves for a while, they showed signs of weakening. The city gates were about to fall. "Is there no other way?" Xiao Chen asked, feeling anxious and somewhat despairing. White Egg replied seriously, "It is not that there is none. If you are not afraid of death, we can lend our strength to you temporarily. If we can let you erupt out with the combat prowess of a foe god, you might be able to turn the situation around." "That's right. We still have our strength. We just cannot use it. However, although your divine body has already awakened once, it will not bode well for you to withstand the power of a foe god." Egg, you have to think this through," Black Egg said as he nodded. Xiao Chen did not hesitate at all. With a determined look in his eyes, he quickly said, "Come, then. This is my city. Even if it falls, I will be the one to do it. It is not up to a group of outsiders to behave atrociously." "As you wish." The black and white eggs exchanged looks and attacked at the same time, each throwing a palm strike at Xiao Chen. Chapter 2071. Boom. When the black and white eggs' palms landed on Xiao Chen's body, two vast forces appeared. Like a flood or a ferocious beast, the energy surged into Xiao Chen's body unreasonably. In an instant, the meridians in his body were filled to the brim, expanding to 4 times their original size. Instantly, his entire body felt intense pain, so much so that he wished he were dead. He felt like a rubber ball about to explode. But this was not the end. His strength continued to soar, and his 9-star primal core shone resplendently. Inside Xiao Chen's body, it was like the sun was burning. His entire body surged with heat, and he sweated profusely. You can't open your mouth. You can't scream. The slightest leakage of power will result in failure. Haydn glanced at Xiao Chen and said coldly. Xiao Chen clenched his teeth and endured. Beads of sweat dripped from his forehead as he allowed the pain to spread throughout his body. Suppressing the power in his body and the intense pain that accompanied it, he struggled to hold on. As expected of a divine body that has awakened once. If it was someone else, their body would have exploded long ago. White Egg praised as it continued to lend its power to Xiao Chen nervously. At this moment, Xiao Chen's expression was twisted and his face was red. Coupled with the pain he was trying his best to suppress, he looked extremely terrifying. Persevere, persevere, persevere. Cheering himself on in his heart, Xiao Chen watched coldly as the blazing blade pierced forward. Slash after slash, the undead guards were cut down like vegetables. The cultivators formed by the two statues gradually lost their strength. They could no longer restrain Xiao Chen. They could only watch as he continued to slaughter the undead guards to pave the way for the golden-armored army. The blazing sun in the sky was getting closer and closer. The Blue Dragon ancient city had reached its most critical moment. White Egg could sense Xiao Chen's anxiety. It reminded him, "Don't get emotional. This is the final step. It is time to raise your will of soul. It's starting." Hua. The azure-colored dragon mark that represented Xiao Chen's soul intent released a dazzling light. His powerful soul power turned into a golden ocean that spread throughout his soul pool. As his soul will poured into his body, Xiao Chen discovered that he could gradually control the violent and terrifying power in his body. Indeed, no matter how much strength the black and white eggs lent him, the black and white eggs would not be able to stop them. If one's soul will wasn't strong enough, one wouldn't be able to control it and could only randomly release the energy in one's body. Xiao. The instant the black and white eggs let go at the same time, they formed a black and white talisman seal in Xiao Chen's body. This is the talisman that we used when we executed our secret technique. Although you are not a faux god yet, the power that you can burst out with is already comparable to a faux god. However, one must remember that when the sigil disappears, all of its power will be lost. Thus, when the seal starts to flash, you must quickly retreat. Otherwise, with your true strength, you won't be able to escape. Sha Dan, I only need a finger to kill you. After lending their energy to Xiao Chen, the black and white eggs felt somewhat weak. However, they did not forget to remind Xiao Chen. Thank you. After expressing his gratitude, Xiao Chen did not rush into action. Instead, he closed his eyes to familiarize himself with his current state. Rumble. Many golden warriors had already scaled the walls of the Blue Dragon ancient city and fought with the soldiers of the dead. The two statues that appeared were thoroughly defeated. The blazing golden giant easily crushed the two statues with one foot while holding a huge saber. Xiao Chen looked around and fixed his gaze on the city gate. After breaking the city gates, half of the Blue Dragon ancient city's formation would be broken. At that time, a strong existence like Xiao Chen would be able to enter the ancient city. Under the helmet, two spots of fire flickered in the empty eyes of the blazing golden giant. The golden giant that was covered in raging flames seemed to feel a trace of excitement, and its aura increased once again. The eyes of the desolate slave Soul Reaper, which was still struggling to draw out the golden banner, filled with helplessness. Whoosh! Just as the blazing giant was about to break the city gates, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. Martial and soul as one. As Xiao Chen stood on the dilapidated palace, he drew his saber, and his will of soul instantly merged with his martial Tao. The instant Xiao Chen drew the tyrant saber, only black and white remained in the world. Only the saber in Xiao Chen's hand remained colorful, giving off a resplendent light. Even the blood moon and blazing sun in the sky paled in comparison to this saber light. The entire golden-armored army turned their heads and looked at Xiao Chen, finding it strange. Even the blazing golden giant looked at Xiao Chen after looking at the sun and moon in the sky. Kill. Sensing the surging energy in his body, Xiao Chen leaped into the air and charged at the blazing giant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Several golden-armored cultivators immediately soared into the air and charged at Xiao Chen. The weakest of them were great perfection sovereign personages, and many were sovereign emperors. In the past, when Xiao Chen faced sovereign emperors, even the weakest sovereign emperor, he could not retaliate. Before their auras, Xiao Chen found it hard to block. With a casual wave, he could use his divine energy to kill him. However, now a die. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold. His entire body radiated a terrifying saber intent as he swung his saber. None of these sovereign emperors or sovereign personages could block his saber strike. Bang! 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 The golden armor exploded, but there was no physical body inside, only a clump of flames containing a divine nature. No wonder the black and white eggs said that these golden-armored cultivators were just a bunch of dead people. The blazing giant coldly watched as Shao Chun killed all the golden-armored cultivators who tried to stop him. The blazing giant stood there without moving. Just as Shao Chun broke through many obstacles and was about to charge at the blazing giant, the 100-meter-tall blazing giant moved. The 100-meter-tall flame giant moved. Its figure flashed, and it vanished from Shao Chen's sight. Where is it? Shao Chen's expression immediately changed. He extended his spiritual sense but could not find the blazing giant at all. Just as Shao Chen felt bewildered, a clump of golden light suddenly burst out in front, illuminating the land of the blood moon. Shao Chen did not have much time to think. He could only rely on his instincts to quickly attack. Dang! A loud sound rang out, and the entire land of the blood moon shook intensely. Shao Chen's palm exploded, and his arm went numb. Divine energy spread through his arm and into his body. Shao Chen was knocked back 10 kilometers. Before he could catch his breath, the blazing giant launched a storm-like attack. Then, Shao Chen saw a vast expanse of golden saber qi interweaving before him, pressing at him in a dense wave. The blazing giant released a divine light from its body. The blazing flames made it look like a deity. Shao Chen resisted the pressure and took a deep breath. Then, he gently shook his wrist. The tyrant saber immediately trembled tens of thousands of times, sending out thousands of saber qi that clashed with the golden giant's saber move. When facing the other party's strong pressure, Shao Chen executed his flawless saber Dao to make up for his lack of momentum. Using his body as a saber and his thoughts as a saber, he danced around in the air, using the thousands of mysterious phenomena as sabers. Dang! 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 The two exchanged more than 100 moves in an instant. Every move was a life-and-death test for Shao Chen. He could not afford to be careless. If he got careless, he would die. The strength that the black and white eggs lent to Shao Chen at the same time was still slightly weaker than this golden giant. The battle lasted for 4 hours. After thousands of moves, Shao Chen became more familiar with his own strength and gradually got rid of the disadvantage. Resolving the mundane, Shao Chen shouted and executed the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. In his current state, Shao Chen executed resolving the mundane. When the eternal and inextinguishable saber light chopped down on the golden giant's body trembled violently. For the first time, Shao Chen's tyrant saber stabbed deeply into his opponent's body. However, before he could rejoice, Shao Chen was sent flying. He was forced to let go of the saber in his hand and tumbled to the ground. Whoosh! The golden giant took a step forward and grabbed out with his hand. His 5 fingers were like mountains as a great pressure enveloped Shao Chen. Firmament's rage. At the critical moment, Shao Chen executed the Dragon's Gate's secret technique. The 5-element divine lightning materialized a complete nation of lightning and saber qi in his palm. Bang! The 2 palms clashed. Shao Chen knocked back the golden giant's confident grab. Oh no! Just as Shao Chen was about to dodge, he suddenly discovered that the black and white talisman seals in his body started flickering. Shao Chen's energy continuously faded. Thinking of the black and white egg's advice, Shao Chen's expression changed slightly. He needed to retreat quickly at this moment. However, after being knocked back, the golden giant's figure trembled slightly. Then, it took another step forward. The divine might firmly suppressed the golden giant. Even if Shao Chen wanted to retreat, he could not. The shadow of death shrouded Shao Chen. However, just at this moment, a clump of golden light burst out of the 100-meter-tall golden giant's chest. An ancient metal hook pierced through the golden giant's chest. It was Soul Reaper. It was the desolate slave Soul Reaper. The golden giant finally managed to pull out the golden banner that was suppressing it. Whoosh! Soul Reaper stretched out its hand and pulled. The 100-meter-tall golden giant snapped in half in front of Shao Chen. The golden giant's body fell to the ground. Only a clump of flames managed to escape, instantly entering the blazing sun in the sky. The ferocious golden-armored army retreated like the receding tide. The desolate slave Soul Reaper remained expressionless as it appeared in front of Shao Chen with a hook in its hand. Its body was no smaller than the golden giant's, and its aura was not inferior to the golden giant's either. While Shao Chen was feeling a little nervous, the golden giant's aura was not inferior either. One of Wu Chang's hands suddenly grabbed at Shao Chen. Chapter 2072. The black and white talisman seal in Shao Chen's body dimmed, looking like it would vanish soon. Shao Chen could not resist Soul Reaper at all. If Soul Reaper's attack was meant to kill Shao Chen would not be able to resist at all. When the black and white eggs saw this scene from the dilapidated palace, they asked sullenly, "Bitchy egg, what are you doing?" Shao Chen no longer had the energy to think. He could only leave it to fate. No matter what, the golden-armored army had already retreated. Under the pressure of the blood moon, the blazing sun in the sky also slowly moved into the distance. Whoosh! The force of Soul Reaper's palm strike grabbed Shao Chen, holding him in its palm. Soul Reaper used the Space Dao, making Shao Chen's entire body smaller than its palm. It's over. Shao Chen did not die to that blazing saber but to Soul Reaper. Fate really knew how to play tricks on people. However, the result was not too surprising. Be it Soul Reaper or that blazing saber, they were already dead. They had limited intelligence and could only exist with a will. Whoosh! However, just as Shao Chen began to despair, Soul Reaper did not crush Shao Chen to death. Instead, it only looked at Shao Chen. Soul Reaper showed doubt and a probing expression. Immediately, Shao Chen felt his bloodline circulate uncontrollably under the other party's gaze. In the next moment, Shao Chen activated his great desolate Aeon bloodline, and his eyes turned golden. A terrifying, ancient, and mysterious dragon might burst out of his body. This was the divine might of the blue dragon, the head of the 7-colored divine dragons. Shao Chen felt somewhat astonished. This was the first time he activated his bloodline uncontrollably under the stimulation of an external force. Soul Reaper's body suddenly relaxed as it gently put Shao Chen down. Then, it placed a finger on Shao Chen's forehead. Shao Chen's forehead instantly split open, and blood seeped out. The soul energy and the blood formed a strange blood moon mark. Before Shao Chen could understand what was going on, he landed in front of the city gates and looked back. He saw the desolate slave Soul Reaper place its right hand on its left shoulder and make a special gesture. Then, it turned around and continued its pursuit. He held the iron hook in his hand and chased after the blazing sun in the sky, as well as the remnants of the Golden Army. Puzzled, Shao Chen turned around and faced the city gate. Xiao! The blood moon mark between his eyebrows suddenly bloomed with light. Shao Chen felt that this mark was deeply connected to his bloodline and soul. With a rumbling sound, under his bewildered gaze, the ancient city gate opened. The surroundings were filled with the remains of the dead soldiers, the remaining desolate slaves, and the dead soldiers. All of them followed impermanence and began their final counterattack, wiping out the golden-armored army. At the edge of the land of the blood rain, above the golden ocean, he slaughtered the remaining gold-ranked warriors. Let's go in and see. Shao Chen did not know what had happened. Perhaps the desolate slave Soul Reaper had confirmed his blue dragon bloodline and opened the city gates to him. This was a rare opportunity, and the city gates might close in a moment. Shao Chen didn't hesitate and headed straight for the blue dragon ancient city. He really wanted to know what kind of existence the city was. Look, Dandan went in. The black and white eggs in the palace felt incredibly shocked. Back then, their master had spent his entire life trying to enter the Blue Dragon ancient city. In the end, he even lost his life and failed to enter. Right now, Xiao Chun was only a small perfection sovereign personage, yet he managed to enter. Boom! The moment Xiao Chun entered the city gates behind him closed with a loud bang. After glancing back, Xiao Chun ignored it and strolled around the ancient city. The layout of the Dragon City was roughly the same as that of White Dragon City and Heaven Dragon City that Xiao Chun had been to before. However, they were more majestic and imposing. There were also many buildings with the unique characteristics of the Blue Dragon, which the other dragon cities did not have. As Xiao Chun strolled around the city, he could clearly feel the ancient air of the ancient city. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. The Divine Dragon Empire's dragon cities were built on ancient dragon race remnant. The accumulations of the Blue Dragon Ancient City before Xiao Chun were far more profound than those of White Dragon City and Heaven Dragon City. Aside from the dragon souls wandering in the sky, there were no other living creatures in the city. It was empty, somewhat sinister, and even a bit cold. Being in it made one feel slightly uncomfortable. If not for the dragon race bloodline in his body, Xiao Chun would not have been able to stroll through the heavy accumulations and dragon might. Chi. The blood moon mark on Xiao Chun's forehead flickered continuously. He felt a mysterious existence there. Ever since he entered the city, it had been calling out to him. Xiao Chun gently leaped up and landed on the roof of a nearby building. Then, he looked into the distance. After determining the direction, Xiao Chun's white robes moved about the Dragon City's buildings. After 1 hour, Xiao Chun stopped. A majestic Dao platform appeared in front of him. This was an ancient Dao platform on a cliff. From there, one could see the entire Blue Dragon Ancient City. A Dao platform. This was an ancient existence used for trans-realm transportation, not something from the martial epoch. It was something that had been passed down for many epochs, combining the wisdom of countless experts to form. Xiao Chun had experience using trans-realm transportation formations before and had seen Dao platforms more than once. However, he had never seen such a colossal Dao platform before. Xiao Chun was deeply shocked. When this Dao platform was activated, it could transport a legion of cultivators at the same time. If one activated it, one could teleport from anywhere in the Great Thousand Realms while standing on this Dao platform. However, this was not the focus of Xiao Chun's thoughts. His focus was on an upright piece of wood. This piece of wood should be divine wood equal to the propping mulberry tree. It looked like a stone pillar as it stood on the Dao platform. A totem of uncanny craftsmanship was carved on it. This was a totem, the Blue Dragon Totem. Xiao Chun had once left a similar dragon totem in the Kunlun Realm's Dragon's Gate, according to the old Dragon Gate's instructions. However, compared to this totem before him, it was like child's play. He could not bear to think about it. The totem in front of him looked like a real azure dragon had appeared in front of him. The dragon might spread to every corner of the Dao platform. Whoosh! Xiao Chun gently leaped onto the Dao platform and arrived before the totem. After thinking for a while, he stretched out his hand to touch it. Immediately, a strange feeling spread in his heart. It felt like a vast azure sea appeared before him. As he stood on the shore and looked at the sea, a feeling of inferiority filled his heart. The soul energy in Xiao Chun's soul pool, the veritable essence energy in his primal core, and the wandering vital qi all gathered at this moment. At the same time, they converged together, transforming into a river that flowed into the ocean. All this was beyond Xiao Chun's control. In mere moments, he drained a third of his veritable essence energy, vital qi, and soul energy. Whoosh! 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 Motes of light appeared on the surface of the sea. There were blurry scenes in the motes of light. When looking carefully, one would discover that they were cities. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he immediately understood. These motes of light represented the cities connected to the Dao platform. They all seemed to be the legendary gathering points of the Divine Dragon Empire. They were either within the Empire or the great realms controlled by the Dragon race. Aside from the cities, there were actually some special secret realms. In the secret realms, Shao Chun unexpectedly discovered the Heaven Dragon Palace, the secret realm that nurtured countless spirit herbs, representing the accumulations of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Shao Chun even saw the blurry image of his own divine rank medicine cauldron in that secret realm. Aside from these, there were many other dim motes of light. Those were the connections of the other empires and dynasties. Shao Chun understood. The transportation formation of this Dao platform was driven by the totem. However, with Shao Chun's current strength, activating the formation was somewhat difficult. He could only take a look, and he could not even see it clearly. Whoosh! After noticing this, Shao Chun prepared to stop. However, just at this moment, a blurry azure dragon image appeared at the end of the sea. The dragon image gathered and formed a totem. This is, Shao Chun's expression changed dramatically. This totem was at the end of the sea. Shao Chun's vision was blurry, and he could only make out a silhouette. However, with just one look, Shao Chun recognized it. This was the totem that he personally carved in the Kunlun realm. Could it be that this platform could send him directly back to Kunlun? Whoosh! Although Shao Chun felt shocked, his veritable essence energy and soul energy were about to run out, so he had no choice but to let go. The azure sea vanished, and the scene before him immediately returned to normal. Rumble! Before Shao Chun could resolve his doubts, the entire mountain range where the Dao platform was suddenly shook intensely. Suddenly, an azure dragon statue appeared in the middle of the mountain range. Then, it swam around the mountain range like it came to life. Finally, it stopped at the summit of this mountain, and a pair of dragon eyes stared at Shao Chun. This looked somewhat similar to the Heaven Dragon statue in the Heaven Dragon Palace, except it had more spiritual energy. Chapter 2073. As Shao Chun looked at the blue dragon statue surrounding the mountains, he thought to himself, the totem must have absorbed my veritable essence energy, triggering the appearance of this blue dragon statue. The appearance of the blue dragon statue was somewhat strange. There should be some trick to it. As Shao Chun stood on the vast Dao platform, he looked extremely insignificant. As Shao Chun pondered, his expression did not change. He did not move at all. However, great waves surged in his heart, his shock fading. Actually, Shao Chun had wanted to return to the Kunlun realm long ago. However, the journey back was very long. It would take at least 4 to 10 years. How vast was the great Thousand Realms? If Shao Chun ran into some unpredictable danger along the way, it would be hard to say how long he would have to spend. After cultivating bitterly in the land of the Blood Moon for 4 years, Shao Chun did not fear peak sovereign personages of the outside world. However, this bit of strength was nothing before the Golden Dragon bloodline. Right now, Shao Chun urgently needed to raise his strength. It was not just to become the Dragon Emperor but to survive. However, the mysterious Dao platform in this ancient dragon city could allow him to return to the Kunlun realm easily. How could Shao Chun not feel excited? I have to think of a way to make use of this Dao platform. Otherwise, I don't know if I can enter again. Shao Chun always liked to take the initiative and did not like to be passive when dealing with things. This time, he had been passive when he entered the Dragon City, getting in for some inexplicable reason. Next time, he would not feel confident and did not like this feeling. I have to think of a way. Shao Chun started walking around on the Dao platform. As he thought of a way, he searched the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories for information about the Blue Dragon Ancient City, the Dao platform, and trans-realm transportation formations. Time passed without him realizing it. In the land of the Blood Moon, the battle between the army of the dead led by the desolate slave Soul Reaper and the golden armored army reached its most intense moment. Above the golden ocean, the huge setting sun slowly sank into the ocean. Right now, it was no longer a question of whether they could break into the Dragon City, but whether they could retreat safely. Clearly, the desolate slave Soul Reaper did not want to miss this opportunity. It led the army of the dead to prevent the setting sun from sinking. Inside the huge setting sun was a scorching space formed by extreme yang flames. It was even more vast and vast. Soul Reaper entered the depths of the blazing sun and began to fight the blazing warrior that had been resurrected. Even though he was on his home ground, the flaming giant that had been killed once still found it hard to match the Soul Reaper. However, he didn't need to defeat a Hellguard. He had to maintain his undefeatable state and wait for the blazing sun to sink into the vast ocean before impermanence would retreat. At this moment, the intensity of the battle was even more intense than when the golden-armored army was about to breach the city. Even Shao Chun, who was in the depths of the ancient city's Dao platform, could sense that the entire land of the Blood Rain was shaking violently. But at this moment, Shao Chun had no time to care about it. He was still thinking about how to smoothly come here next time. He had found a way to activate this Dao pillar. The amount of information about the Space Dao and Trans-Realm Transportation formations in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories was rather startling. Most of the messages were spam, and it was extremely troublesome to eliminate them one by one. As for Shao Chun, he knew very little about the Space Dao, Trans-Realm Transportation formations, and Dao platforms. Amid the chaos, Shao Chun appeared somewhat anxious. He did not know how long he could remain in this ancient city. Divine Universe Steel. Just as Shao Chun felt helpless and was about to give up, preparing to explore the blue dragon statue first, a piece of information flashed in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. Divine Universe Steel, the most profound treasure in the world. It was born from a cosmos divine stone fragment. After countless epochs of life and death, the cosmos divine stone fragments disappeared without a trace, completely destroyed. Only the divine universe steel still exists in the world. Its value would tempt even true gods, causing them to risk their lives for it. Only the divine Aeon tablet still exists in the world, and its value is something that even true gods would be moved by and not hesitate to take risk. Only the divine universe steel still exists in the world. Its value would tempt even true gods, causing them to risk their lives. When the primal chaos shattered, when the world was born, many miraculous things were born. One of them could reverse time and space. Later, it shattered in the struggle for it. At the same time, its ability to control time and space was split. One fragment contained the ultimate mysteries of the Space Dao, and the other contained the ultimate mysteries of the Time Dao. The Divine Universe Steel was a spatial treasure forged from the Cosmos Divine Stone fragment containing the ultimate mysteries of the Space Dao. That was the gist of it. After all, it had experienced too many epochs. No one could be sure of its true origins. However, that did not matter. Right now, Shao Chun did not care about this. What he cared about was the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. The Divine Universe Steel was a miraculous item that could control the Dao platform and break trans-realm transportation formations. Shao Chun had known long ago that the Divine Universe Steel had other mysteries. However, he was too weak. Furthermore, the Space Dao was too profound. Hence, he had not bothered with it, only treating it as a large storage ring. It is not too late to know now. Shao Chun revealed a smile on his somewhat fatigued face as he looked at this Dao platform, filled with lofty aspirations. He no longer hesitated. He carefully studied how to use the Divine Universe Steel's secret method. Although he did not grasp the Space Dao, he could still control the Divine Universe Steel to bring out the mysteries of space. 4 hours later, Shao Chun revealed a brilliant light in his eyes, and he showed a cautious expression. In the past, he did not care about it. Now, he realized how strong the Divine Universe Steel in his hand was. If he did not expose it, some faux god old monsters would come after him to fight it out. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter once said that there were only 3 grades of soul tools in the world: inferior grade, medial grade, and superior grade. The only transcendent grade soul tool was the Wings of Time. Although the Divine Universe steel in Xiao Chen's hand could not cause much damage and could not kill his enemies directly, its mysteries were at least equal to a superior grade soul tool. However, its profoundness was at least comparable to a superior grade soul tool, infinitely close to the wings of time. With a thought, the Divine Universe steel appeared in Xiao Chen's hand. Xiao Chen looked at the blue dragon totem cautiously. He felt somewhat nervous, not completely confident. Even with the Divine Universe steel in hand and grasping some of its mysteries, he did not dare to say that he could decipher this Tao platform. As long as Xiao Chen could decipher this Tao platform, it would be equivalent to him controlling this Tao platform in another way. If he wanted to come here in the future, he would only need to use the Divine Universe steel. He would not need to rely on Soul Reaper's strength or follow the rules of the ancient city. He could come and go freely by himself. The benefits were immeasurable. This Tao platform could control all the transportation formations in the entire Divine Dragon Empire. It could even enter many secret realms. The significance of this to Xiao Chen was immeasurable. What did this mean? It meant that Xiao Chen had the capital to fight the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, the ruler of the Divine Dragon Empire. Whoosh! Xiao Chen gently let go, and the Divine Universe steel slowly flew into the air and hovered above the Tao platform. Success or failure depends on this. Xiao Chen formed hand seals according to the secret technique in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. Then, he merged his veritable essence energy and soul energy, sending beams of light into the Divine Universe steel. The ancient patterns on the Divine Universe steel flowed like blood. In that instant it gave off a bright light. Many mysterious and unfathomable steel scripts appeared on the Divine Universe steel, forming an ancient scripture. Xiao Chen felt that it was somewhat strenuous. He did not dare to relax. At this moment, if he was not careful, he would die. If he got careless, he would suffer a rebound from the Divine Universe steel. The power of space would instantly tear his physical body to shreds. However, as long as an opportunity presented itself, Xiao Chen would not give up. Furthermore, this opportunity before him would determine whether he could return to the Kunlun realm and whether he could gain the capital to fight the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Since Xiao Chen made his choice, he would continue on without hesitation, never turning back, never hesitating. Boom! When all the steel scripts appeared, the light in the surroundings of the Divine Universe steel withdrew. In the next moment, a mysterious water-like energy turned into ripples. The ripples spread out in all directions from the Divine Universe steel. Traces of gentle fluctuations appeared in the space. Water-like energy spread out and slowly covered the Tao platform. Whoosh! Mysterious talisman scripts of light and shadow leaked out of the ancient Tao platform and poured into the Divine Universe steel. Everything proceeded in an orderly fashion. With Xiao Chen's startling talent, his first attempt at this secret technique went incredibly smoothly. However, this is very tiring. Very tiring. Xiao Chen felt his soul energy and veritable essence energy draining continuously. It was no easier than when he checked the blue dragon totem. If it were an ordinary Tao platform, Xiao Chen would have succeeded already. However, this Tao platform was ancient and mysterious, boundlessly vast. Xiao Chen had only deciphered a third of the Tao platform, and he already found it somewhat taxing. He could only clench his teeth and endure. I cannot give up here. It is hard to say if I will have a second chance. Perhaps I might be expelled in the next moment. I cannot give up on this opportunity. When one was fatigued and under pressure, a demon would appear in one's heart, giving oneself all sorts of excuses to give up. This was a heart demon, but it was human nature. No one could avoid it. Xiao Chen was the same. However, he had a strong will and knew the importance of deciphering this Tao platform. No matter how the demon in one's heart tempted Xiao Chen to give up, Xiao Chen's will would instantly shatter it. However, every time Xiao Chen shattered it, the heart demon would quickly appear. As Xiao Chen's physical body grew increasingly fatigued and the pressure increased, the heart demon grew stronger, sweeping out in an even more ferocious and berserk manner. The heart demon wreaked havoc, arrogant and despotic, disrupting my state of mind and disturbing my peace. How should I deal with it? No confusion, no panic, no fear. Trample on it, crush it, smash it to death. No one could stop Xiao Chen from deciphering the Dao platform under him. Xiao Chen missed his old friends in the Kunlun realm. He longed for the ability to fight the purple gold dragon emperor. He looked forward to returning to the divine dragon empire. He did not want to be chased away in a sorry state by others again. Xiao Chen's willpower was like that of a killing god. No matter how strong the heart demon was, he would respond in an even stronger, more ruthless and more resolute manner, refusing to compromise. Determination filled Xiao Chen's eyes, looking like pure gems in the starry heavens. Aside from perseverance, there was nothing else. In this world, losing to anyone could be forgiven, but losing to oneself was the most unforgivable. Chapter 2074. In this world, losing to anyone could be forgiven, but losing to oneself was the only thing that could be forgiven. Xiao Qin crushed his heart demon and defeated himself, still persisting bitterly. Whether he could decipher this ancient Dao platform depended on his ability. Whether he could persist or not depended on his attitude. This was how Xiao Qin always did things. If he persisted to the end, even if he did not obtain the result he wanted, he would feel at ease. Even if he did his best, he would feel at ease. This was the case now. Under Xiao Chen's persistence, the mysterious energy radiating from the divine universe steel already covered half of the Dao platform. Xiao Chen had already covered half of the Dao platform. However, he was now exhausted. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was a spent force. This Dao platform before him was simply too vast. The ancient talisman scripts it contained were as many as the stars in the sky. Continue to persist. A person's potential is forced out by oneself. Xiao Chen clenched his teeth. Even though he was a spent force, he did not show any intention of giving up. Be it mental or physical fatigue, he was incredibly fatigued. The heart demon did not stop for even a moment, tempting him to give up. Boom! Suddenly, Xiao Chen felt his will of soul explode. His soul energy, which was still at the end of its tether, poured out endlessly from his will of soul. The blazing sun and bright moon in the sky above Xiao Chen's soul pool rose up once more. The sun and moon shining together shone with resplendent light. I broke through. Xiao Chen immediately felt excited. Under the boundless pressure, his great perfection sovereign personage will of soul broke through to peak sovereign personage. After Xiao Chen broke through to peak sovereign personage, his originally dried-up soul energy instantly filled his soul pool. The sea formed by his soul energy was much larger than before. Indeed, heaven never bars one's way. Xiao Chen revealed a smile on his face. Originally, he had been on the verge of collapsing. His veritable essence energy was drained, and his soul energy dried up. He could no longer activate this divine universe steel. Who could have imagined that his will of soul would make a breakthrough at the crucial moment? The flood-like soul energy poured into the divine universe steel. The mysterious phenomenon of the sun and moon shining together appeared behind Xiao Qin at the same time. Boom! After the divine universe steel received the replenishment of soul energy, it immediately felt like a god was helping it. In one go, it covered 2/3 of the Dao platform. The ancient talisman scripts were like stars as they entered the divine universe steel. Poochie! Just when the situation was looking good, Xiao Chen suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. It turned out that his true essence had dried up, and his reckless advance had injured the source of his body. This mouthful of blood was not an internal injury, but 100 years of lifespan. Injuries to the origin of life were almost impossible to heal. If there were any flaws in the origin of life, it would be impossible to heal. At that time, the difficulty of advancing to Divine Vein Realm's Sovereign Emperor would multiply. The primary goal of a Sovereign Emperor was to condense an undying body. If the origin of life was flawed, it would be a fatal problem for forming an immortal body. I don't have time to worry about all that. If I lose this opportunity, who knows when I'll be able to break this Tao pillar? Xiao Chen had already paid too much, so he couldn't afford to hesitate any longer. He steeled his heart and decided to continue deciphering it. However, right at this moment, Xiao Chen suddenly felt a mighty force attack him. In the next moment, the entire space directly froze. The divine universe steel's mysterious energy stopped radiating, and the runes flying over stopped flowing in the air. It was as if time had stopped. Xiao Chen could not help feeling startled. He could not move his physical body, so he could only look up. He saw the eyes of the blue dragon statue in the mountains burning, as if it had opened its eyes. This mighty force came from this blue dragon statue. What's going on? Xiao Chen felt shocked, confusion spreading in his heart. It looked like he was about to break the Tao pillar. Was he going to fail at the final step? Dissatisfied. Xiao Chen felt dissatisfied. He circulated his physical body, vital qi, and will of soul, preparing to give it a try. Whoosh! Just as Xiao Chen was about to move, the blue dragon statue opened its mouth and spat out an azure-colored dragon essence. Before Xiao Chen could understand what was going on, the dragon essence entered his body. The injury to his source of life instantly healed. Not only that, but Xiao Chen's veritable essence also spewed out continuously as the dragon essence melted, reaching its peak state in a moment. This, Xiao Chen felt very confused. In the next moment, his physical body recovered, and the stop time started flowing again. However, when Xiao Chen raised his head to look at the blue dragon statue at the summit of the mountains, he discovered that the blue dragon statue was just a statue. The mysterious phenomenon from earlier had completely vanished. If not for Xiao Chen's veritable essence recovering and returning to his peak state, he might have thought that what he saw earlier was just an illusion. Never mind. I can't think too much. I'll just break the entire Tao pillar in one go. After returning to his peak state, Xiao Chen drove the divine universe steel with ease and ease. 1 hour later, when the mysterious energy released by the divine universe steel completely covered the entire Tao platform, the divine universe steel's aura shook violently. A bright light suddenly gathered on the divine universe steel, looking piercing and dazzling. Xiao Chen waved his hand slightly, and the divine universe steel's light faded as it slowly landed in his hand. The heavy divine universe steel required Xiao Chen to drive all his vital qi before he could firmly control it. Let's see if you are as miraculous as the blood-soaked dragon emperor said. Feeling some anticipation, Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and his physical body directly entered the divine universe steel. Whoosh! The scene before Xiao Chen startled him. A Tao pillar actually appeared in the vast and boundless divine universe steel. This Tao pillar looked exactly the same as the Tao pillar outside. However, it was not forged from divine materials but imitated from energy. However, its Tao aura and internal structure were exactly the same. As Xiao Chen stood inside, he felt incredibly shocked. Can I use it? Standing in the center of the Tao pillar, Xiao Chen felt somewhat doubtful, not daring to be sure. I'll give it a try. Xiao Chen's veritable essence energy and soul energy surged and flowed into the Tao pillar under him. The Tao pillar's formation flickered for a while before stopping. Xiao Chen rubbed his chin, entering deep thought. After all, this Tao pillar did not have a totem. It was like a dead object. He needed an energy source to revive it. I got it! Xiao Chen opened his palm, and a resplendent spirit jade flowing with the power of the world appeared in his palm. A peak-grade spirit jade. This was one of the great treasures that Xiao Chen obtained from the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's treasure trove. However, he had never used it before. Now, he finally had a use for it. Peak-grade spirit jades were known as subdivine crystals. They contained the vast power of the world. Even a divine vein realm sovereign emperor would find it extremely difficult to obtain one. Ka-Cie. Shao Chun embedded the peak-grade spirit jade in the center of the Tao Pillar's formation. The entire Tao Pillar instantly flashed with light, washing away all the splendor and making it look incredibly plain. Only a faint spiritual light occasionally flickered in the formation. After completing the task, Shao Chun drove his soul energy and veritable essence energy into the Tao Pillar again. The scene in front of him suddenly changed, and a green ocean appeared in his field of vision. The dragon race's secret realm and the Empire's trans-realm transportation formation appeared one after another. At the limits of Shao Chun's vision, in the depths of the sea, a totem hovered in the air. Success! Shao Chun released his bated breath and stopped driving his veritable essence energy. His eyes filled with excitement. He succeeded. The Divine Universe Steel successfully deciphered the Tao Pillar and directly copied it. From now on, even if Shao Chun was not in the Blue Dragon Ancient City, he could still use this Tao Pillar. He could enter the dragon race's secret realm and return to the Divine Dragon Empire or the Kunlun realm at any time. He could even bring his old friends from the Kunlun realm to this great thousand realms. All he needed was the Divine Universe Steel. After the excitement, Shao Chun slowly calmed down. He had succeeded. However, if he wanted to activate the Tao Pillar beneath his feet, he would also need a lot of resources. It was not realistic to rely on his veritable essence energy and soul energy to activate this Tao Pillar and use the trans-realm transportation formation. Looking at this huge Tao Pillar, Shao Chun would need a large amount of resources to fully activate it. Right now, Shao Chun was poor and would find it hard to continue. There should be resources in the ancient Azure Dragon City. Shao Chun entered deep thought. I am in this ancient city. Since I already deciphered the Tao Pillar, I should scavenge the resources in the ancient city. Whoosh! Shao Chun immediately took action after thinking about it. Then, he left the Divine Universe Steel and returned it to his body. Shao Chun landed back on the ancient city's Tao Pillar. Just as he was about to move, his gaze fell on the blue dragon statue at the summit of the mountains. Shao Chun hesitated. This blue dragon statue was rather strange. If not for that dragon essence earlier, he would not have been able to perfectly decipher the Tao Pillar. Is it helping me? It's afraid that my foundations will be damaged, resulting in irreversible damage. Could there be someone inside? Let's go in and take a look. After a while, Shao Chun's figure flashed as he flew towards the mouth of the blue dragon statue. There seemed to be a whole new world inside. Chapter 2075. The might and pressure of the blue dragon statue was very strong. However, when it landed on Shao Chun, it made him feel extremely comfortable. Just like the warm sunlight in winter, when it shone on a taut string, it unconsciously loosened. Whoosh! Shao Chun leaped up from the 30-kilometer-tall mountain peak and executed Freedom Light. The blue dragon statue's gaping maw looked like the entrance to a cave. When standing in front and looking in, it gave off an unfathomable feeling. Shao Chun revealed himself and hovered in the air, standing in front of the statue. This made Shao Chun feel somewhat strange. I am Shao Chun. Might I ask if Senior made a move earlier? If there really was someone, they would have responded. If there was no one, Shao Chun would enter directly. Come in, then. A deep voice came from the dragon's mouth, startling Shao Chun. There really was someone in the blue dragon statue in the ancient city. It was a person with spiritual intelligence and thoughts. It was like the desolate slave. No matter how deep his feelings for the dragon city were, he only relied on the thought of protecting it to survive. Shao Chun hesitated for a moment before entering the dragon's mouth in a flash. It was pitch black inside. Just as he was about to ask, the dragon's mouth quickly closed. Shao Chun was in the darkness. His spiritual sense and soul energy could not sense his surroundings. However, he did not panic. The person inside was much stronger than him. There were many opportunities to kill him. Xiao Chen felt like space was changing. Soon, his eyes lit up, and Xiao Chen appeared in a large hall. The walls and stone pillars of this ancient hall all had carvings of various ancient divine dragons. These carvings were of the pure-blood dragon race. This was a dignified dragon hall with many years of history, even older than the ancient city. Xiao Chen entered it. The blue dragon bloodline in his body felt extremely suppressed. A 10,000 dragons picture was carved on the frontmost wall of the hall. Each dragon was different. Even the heaven dragon was included. Xiao Chen even saw the terrifying black dragon in the shadows. In the middle were the 7-colored divine dragons: the blue dragon, the gold dragon, the white dragon, the green dragon, the blue dragon, the red dragon, and the silver dragon, gathered together and roared at the same time. As Xiao Chen stood in front of the 10,000 dragons picture, he felt like there really were 7 dragons roaring at the same time in front of him. Roar. This made the bloodline in Xiao Chen's body unsatisfied. A dragon roar resounded, and an indistinct dragon image appeared behind Xiao Chen, roaring in discomfort. His body was a little unstable, like a pine tree swaying with the wind. However, he did not fall or retreat. Not bad. If you can't stand firmly before the 10,000 dragons painting, then you won't be qualified to see me. The deep and resounding voice rang out again. In the ancient palace, a green dragon shadow appeared. His body was surrounded by several dragon pillars, and a dragon head appeared in front of Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was slightly surprised. The existence inside was not a human after all. From the looks of it, it was a dragon spirit. "You are the person that the little dragon horse found, right?" The dragon shadow asked Xiao Chen again. The little dragon horse? Xiao Chen felt slightly stunned. Then, he understood. This dragon spirit was referring to the old dragon horse in the Blue Dragon Palace. "Yes, I came from the Kunlun realm. I followed the old dragon horse's instructions and came to this great 1,000 realms." Xiao Chen answered honestly, not hiding anything. "You came early. With your strength, what are you doing in this dragon city? You are not even a sovereign emperor, yet you want to use the divine universe steel to break the Tao platform. If not for the fear of damaging your origin energy and preventing you from advancing to sovereign emperor, I would not even bother with you. You have to advance to sovereign emperor before you are qualified to inherit the inheritance and treasures of this blue dragon ancient city." The dragon spirit felt somewhat confused. It said seriously, "I wonder what that soul reaper is doing to actually let you in." As the dragon spirit spoke, its body kept swaying. However, it kept its gaze on Xiao Chen. Interesting. All of a sudden, the dragon spirit seemed to have discovered something interesting, and it started to laugh. Xiao Chen remained silent, not knowing what to say. The other party did not give him a chance to interrupt. This azure dragon bloodline is rather strange. All the geniuses are extremely talented. All geniuses do not believe in evil and insist on dual cultivating righteous and demonic. However, that makes sense. If you did not cultivate a demonic Tao cultivation technique, I would suspect that you are not qualified to bear this responsibility. The dragon spirit muttered to itself, not intending to communicate too much with Xiao Chen. It said lazily, "Observe the 10,000 dragons picture for a while, then leave. When you reach the divine vein realm, you can go to the divine vein realm. When you reach the divine vein realm, I will acknowledge you as my master and receive the inheritance of the blue dragon race." Xiao Chen felt somewhat embarrassed. He probed, "Senior, since I'm already here, can you give me some resources?" The dragon spirit smiled and said, "Interesting. It is not that you are unsatisfied. After taking a mouthful of my dragon essence, you have already converted 50% of your bloodline power. It is not just healing your injuries. There is also this 10,000 dragons picture. Even sovereign emperors find it hard to observe it. 50% of my bloodline power has been converted? Xiao Chen felt slightly shocked as he quickly checked. Indeed, it was as he had expected. It was already extremely rare for someone with a great desolate Ian bloodline to be able to convert 30% of their bloodline power. 50% was extremely rare. After converting 50%, one's dragon would undergo a complete transformation. The might of the blue dragon in one's veritable essence energy would also undergo a qualitative change. Many thanks, Senior. Xiao Chen quickly thanked the dragon spirit. The dragon spirit said indifferently, "Go and observe the 10,000 dragons picture. How much you can comprehend will depend on your luck." Xiao Chen did not dare to delay. The 10,000 dragons picture in front gave him an unfathomable feeling. However, he had not examined it in detail. The dragon spirit silently withdrew from the ancient hall, leaving only Xiao Chen to seriously observe the 10,000 dragons picture. Each type of dragon in the 10,000 dragons picture was different, each with its own merit. Completely comprehending one type might take 100 years. Xiao Chen knew that he could not remain here for long. So, he focused on the heaven dragon, the blue dragon, and the golden divine dragon. The former concerned himself, while the latter concerned his opponents. Xiao Chen carefully studied the mysteries within. Soon, he felt like he gained a lot. Then, he slowly shifted his gaze to the group of dragons, experiencing the aura and Tao of 10,000 dragons appearing at the same time. What a miraculous picture! Each type of dragon is different. However, when they appear in the picture, their auras intertwine, forming a perfect whole. If I can imitate this 10,000 dragons picture and obtain just 10% of its mysteries, even sovereign emperors would have to avoid me. The more Xiao Chen observed, the more incredible he found this 10,000 dragons picture. He started studying it like he was possessed. When Xiao Chen startled awake, he suddenly discovered that a 10,000 dragons picture had appeared in his mind as well. However, this 10,000 dragons picture was somewhat hazy and blurry, hidden in fog. 10,000 dragons art? At the same time, information about a cultivation technique appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. These ancient words seemed to be deeply imprinted in his heart. When he thought about it, it felt like clear water flowing in his heart. When Xiao Chen finished reading through it, he felt somewhat horrified. This 10,000 dragons art was actually of a higher level than his purple thunder divine incantation and demonic cloud heaven swallowing art. Unexpectedly, he gained a cultivation technique and even imprinted the 10,000 dragons picture. Xiao Chen rejoiced. Indeed, the dragon spirit did not lie to him. Even without any resources, copying this 10,000 dragons picture and obtaining the 10,000 dragons art would be a great harvest. I did not lie to you, right? The dragon spirit appeared silently. A dragon head suddenly appeared before Xiao Chen as it spoke indifferently. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Many thanks, Senior. Why is this 10,000 dragons art so strong? I feel that there is no cultivation technique in the martial epoch that can compare to it." The dragon spirit said proudly, "The 10,000 dragons art was born in the great desolate Aeon. The epoch came and went, but its inheritance never ended. There would always be dragon race powerhouses who continuously improved it. Naturally, it would not be weak. However, if you say that there is no cultivation technique in the martial epoch that can compare to it, I can only say that your horizons are too low and your strength is too weak." "Is that so?" Xiao Chen said, feeling somewhat deflated. At the same time, he did not dare to believe it. "That is natural. There are still a few cultivation techniques that can compare to it. However, there are practically none that can surpass it," the dragon spirit said in an extremely tyrannical and confident tone. "All right, you may leave now. Come back again after the sovereign emperor." After that, the dragon spirit directly chased Xiao Chen away. Xiao Chen felt somewhat reluctant and dissatisfied. He had come here after so much difficulty, so he could not give up this opportunity so easily. Xiao Chen quickly said, "One last question. Senior, can you give me some pointers on my martial Dao?" "How troublesome," the dragon spirit muttered. However, it still did as it was asked, looking at Xiao Chen with its spiritual eyes. Xiao Chen immediately felt that the other party knew all his secret. "Not bad. You exceeded my expectations. I can tell that you have grasped the true meaning of many of your martial technique. You did not blindly copy your predecessors. Instead, you walked your own Dao and followed your heart. However, I don't understand. Since you comprehended the state of cycle, why did you not continue researching it? This is truly a waste of heavenly gift. You should know that this state of cycle is rare in the world. It can lead to the ultimate great Dao." The dragon spirit's eyes were very bright. Everything that Xiao Chen learned could not be hidden from it. When mentioning the state of cycle, Xiao Chen felt somewhat helpless. "I cannot bring out my state of cycle in this great 1,000 realms. Even if I want to cultivate it, I do not know where to start." "Is that so? Why do I feel that you have a secret treasure on you that can help you cultivate the state of cycle? Such a state that leads to the ultimate great Tao cannot be cultivated or comprehended by oneself unless one reaches the faux God realm. One can only use a secret treasure to assist in cultivation. Coincidentally, you have such a secret treasure on you." Xiao Chen found this strange. He asked, "I have such a secret treasure on me? Why did I not know about it?" This was really strange. Xiao Chen did not even know about such a secret treasure. However, the dragon spirit sensed it. "Think about it slowly. You are really stupid." Whoosh! Without giving Xiao Chen a chance to ask any more questions, the dragon spirit sent Xiao Chen out. Xiao Chen's figure turned blurry. When he recovered his vision, he had already returned to the Dao platform. When Xiao Chen looked up, the azure dragon statue had already fled to somewhere unknown. "What is it?" Xiao Chen still did not understand. What kind of secret treasure could help him bring out the state of cycle in this great 1,000 realms? Chapter 2076. Do I have a secret treasure that can help me execute the state of cycle in the great 1,000 realms? Clearly, that is not the case for the cycle throne. After a round of modifications, the cycle throne's grade was still too low, not even a Dao tool. It was not that Xiao Chen had not used it before. However, aside from using it to travel, it was not very useful. What could it be? Xiao Chen felt somewhat depressed. He could not think of anything, so he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He could already feel the blood-colored mark between his eyebrows weakening bit by bit. Perhaps he could not remain in this dragon city for long. The blazing sun in the distance was sinking into the golden ocean bit by bit, and only a trace of its afterglow could be seen. Who knew what would happen when the desolate slaves and the army of the dead returned to the city? Even if he could stay, he would have to leave first. In any case, with the divine universe steel in his hand, he could come to this land of the blood moon anytime he wanted. The prerequisite was that he had sufficient resources. Speaking of resources, Xiao Chen felt a headache. He had undergone a complete transformation in this land of the blood moon. His strength had improved qualitatively. He had successfully awakened his divine body once, grasped martial and soul as one, perfectly merged his three great Tao, and attained the heaven dragon body. Breaking the mundane, resolving the mundane, and entering hell, Xiao Chen had thoroughly mastered the first three moves of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. Furthermore, he had obtained the 10,000 dragons art and a copy of the 10,000 dragons picture in his mind. The combat experience he gained from fighting the black and white eggs was extremely valuable. In terms of benefits, there were simply too many. His strength had increased tremendously. However, he did not have any true resources, such as primeval heavenly pills, superior-grade spirit jades, natural treasures, or spirit pills. Speaking of which, Xiao Chen felt frustrated. The previous Heaven Dragon should not have been so ruthless. If the previous Heaven Dragon had left behind some trash, he would not have been so poor. Without resources, Shao Chun could not do many things. He could not cultivate the purple thunder divine incantation and the demonic cloud heaven swallowing art. He could not break through his cultivation, and he could not activate the Tao platform in the divine universe steel. The ancient city is so huge. It should be enough if I just scavenge a little. Although Shao Chun could not obtain the Blue Dragon's inheritance, this ancient city was already a huge treasure trove. There were many intact courtyards and shops, treasure inspection halls, auction halls, and alchemy rooms. There were also the noble clans that used to live here. Whoosh! Shao Chun leaped off the Tao platform and transformed into a bolt of lightning as he shuttled through the ancient city. After choosing his target, he began to plunder. Restriction. As soon as they arrived before a house, Shao Chun was speechless. There was actually a restriction here. It was another restriction. After much difficulty, he finally arrived at a majestic auction house. Looking around, he found another restriction. An hour later, Shao Chun finally despaired. There were restrictions everywhere in the ancient city. It seemed that without passing the test of the dragon spirit, it would be impossible to obtain any other benefits in the ancient city. Never mind. Copying the 10,000 dragons picture and obtaining the 10,000 dragons art was already sufficient. Boom! When the mark on his forehead disappeared, Shao Chun immediately felt a repulsive force in the ancient city. Walking and flying in the city was quite difficult, and his strength was also limited. Shao Chun had no choice but to leave the city. As soon as he stepped out of the city gate, he saw that at the edge of the land of the Blood Moon, the sun had completely sunk into the golden ocean. In the end, Soul Reaper did not completely shatter it. The blazing giant managed to flee, and the golden armored army was nearly completely destroyed. When Shao Chun looked around, the entire small world was in a state of devastation. Many pieces of land floated in the air, shattered. Terrifying mysterious phenomena lingered in the surroundings. When Shao Chun looked around, he saw nothing but desolation. This was no longer the small world that Shao Chun was familiar with. Even the blood moon in the sky dimmed significantly. Shao Chun personally saw the blazing sun and the blood moon crash, nearly causing the entire small world to crumble. Fragments formed by the afterglow of the blazing sun and the blood moon scattered in all directions, each containing a great destructive power. The battle between the blazing sun and the blood moon caused the small world to shatter. Rumble! After returning from a great victory, the desolate slave Soul Reaper led the other desolate slaves and the army of the dead to the Blue Dragon ancient city. Shao Chun temporarily avoided the clash and returned to the palace. He vaguely felt that the desolate slave Soul Reaper had glanced at him before entering the city. Egg, come. Tell us, what exactly did you encounter in the city? Upon seeing Shao Chun return, the black and white eggs felt incredibly excited and rushed over. Shao Chun hid the matter of the 10,000 dragons picture and told them everything else. There was no need to hide too much from these two puppets. After White Egg heard that, it guffawed. No wonder you have such a bitter expression. It turns out that you did not obtain anything. Haha. That's what I said. In the end, you are still too weak. It's not a good thing to go in early. If our master can go in, we'll have to go in. If our master could enter, he would be able to break the restrictions. Upon hearing that Shao Chun did not obtain anything, the black and white eggs gloated, giving Shao Chun a look of disdain. Had you known, you might as well have stayed here and collected the fragments that fell from the blood moon and the blazing sun, White Egg said softly with a smile. Fragments? Are these fragments valuable? Shao Chun felt somewhat confused. When the blazing sun and the blood moon clashed head-on, they had indeed scattered many fragments. Black Egg said in disdain, "You are really stupid. When you fought with us, didn't you bring out a yin-yang flame diagram? That yin-yang flame diagram seems to be formed by yin and yang flames, looking very profound. The flames are also of high ranks, primal chaos level flames. Unfortunately, their quality is too low, just grade 4. If you can evolve that flame into an item, it would be incredible. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. Are you saying that the fragments of the blazing sun and the blood moon can raise the rank of my flame? That is natural. Be it the blood moon in the sky or the golden blazing sun, they are formed by a secret technique using the essence of the sun and the moon in the real world. They took at least 1,000 years to form. The person who refined them is definitely a peak faux god. My master once said that the person who refined them should have entered the sun and the moon, stealing their cores. After White Egg finished speaking, it glanced at Xiao Chen. Then, it asked indifferently, "Do you think these fragments are valuable?" Xiao Chen looked around, and joy immediately appeared on his face. This was the remnant land of the great battle, filled with fragments of the blood moon and the blazing sun. It turned out that they were all worth cities. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After thanking Xiao Chen, he stopped speaking and started to collect these fragments. Black Egg muttered to itself, this battle was really intense. Be it the blood moon or the blazing sun, their cores were damaged. They will need at least 500 years to recover their vitality. It is unfortunate for Bitchy Egg. He nearly killed Foolish Egg, but he failed at the last moment and let Foolish Egg escape. Ha! It is good that Foolish Egg ran away. Otherwise, the great show that happens once every few centuries would be over. The two of us would not have any excitement to watch. The black and white eggs chatted happily, not minding Xiao Chen's departure at all. 3 days passed. Xiao Chen collected all the fragments of the blazing sun and the blood moon in the entire small world. The total number of the two totaled more than 100,000. It was as the black and white eggs said. These fragments were indeed worth cities. The heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable essence energy advanced to rank 5 at the same time. The universe origin veritable flame was a heavenly flame, a primal chaos level flame that only the Tianwu dynasty's royal court disciples had the opportunity to grasp. There was a total of 9 grades of primal chaos level flames. After reaching rank 5, no one would say that Xiao Chen's heavenly snow divine flame and universe origin veritable flame were too low in rank. With a thought, Xiao Chen spread out his hands, and a strand of flame soared up from each of his palms. The flames continuously gathered. When they reached their limits, it looked like Xiao Chen was holding a full moon and a sun in each of his hands. The benefits of absorbing these fragments were not only to upgrade the 2 types of flames to the 5th grade, but also to the 5th grade. The more profound thing was that they absorbed the mysteries of the blood moon and the blazing sun. When the heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable flame fully unfurled, they already had a vague form of the blazing sun and the blood moon. This was a pleasant surprise to Xiao Chen. If these 2 flames rose to rank 9 one day, would he be able to control the sun and the moon at the same time? Then, he would surpass Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun and the mysterious person who fought Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun. This thought only lasted for an instant. Xiao Chen knew that he still had a long way to go. These 2 condensed the blood moon and the blazing sun, grasping a secret technique. Xiao Chen did not have a secret technique. Unless he directly consumed the blood moon and blazing sun that the 2 refined, he would not be able to surpass them. Taiji Yin-Yang Flame Diagram. Xiao Chen pushed out with both palms, using the Taiji Dao to push the heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable flame at the same time. Of the 2 flames, one was pale white, and the other flickered with golden light. Both were the extremes of yin and yang. They chased after Xiao Chen. Soon, a Taiji diagram materialized. Closely following that, the 4 divisions and 8 trigrams appeared around the Taiji diagram for the first time. Boom! In that instant, golden light spread out. The Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram soared into the sky, extending infinitely. Soon, this Taiji yin-yang flame diagram filled the sky, covering half the sky of the small world. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. The blue dragon seal in his soul pool, which represented the will of soul, flickered with light. The sun and moon shining together, mysterious phenomenon appeared. Xiao Chen merged his soul mysterious phenomenon with the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram in the sky. Surging soul energy continuously poured into the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Whoosh! 4 hours later, the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram in the sky completely turned solid. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand, and the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram gathered together, forming a simple and unadorned painting in Xiao Chen's hand. Interesting. I should have thought of infusing my soul energy into the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram long ago. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. The mysterious phenomenon before him pleasantly surprised him. Although Xiao Chen said that, his soul energy did not show any abnormalities. The heavenly snow divine flame and the universe origin veritable flame had not reached rank 5. If Xiao Chen rashly formed them, he might not be able to produce such a scene. Xiao Chen gently unfurled the painting in his hand, and a simple and exquisite Taiji yin-yang flame diagram appeared before him. The background of the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram was a deep starry heavens. There was no flickering starlight, only a blurry blood moon in the pitch-black starry heavens. With a thought, the painting became like water, merging into Xiao Chen's physical body. Since then, the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram had undergone a qualitative change. Even if it was a sovereign emperor's strike, Xiao Chen was confident that he could block it with the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. It is time to leave. If not for the golden-armored army attacking, Xiao Chen would have left already. He had already wasted too much time. This time, he had to leave. After a simple farewell to the black and white eggs, Xiao Chen's physical body turned into flowing ice and soared into the sky. The blood moon dimmed. Compared to before, its might and pressure were much weaker. After executing the heaven dragon's body, Xiao Chen, who had turned into ice, successfully entered the blood moon. Then, he revealed himself. However, he did not rush to leave like the previous generation heaven dragon did. Instead, Xiao Chen took out the divine universe steel. Then, he formed a hand seal with his right hand, and scriptures appeared on the divine universe steel. When all of them appeared, mysterious energy radiated from the divine universe steel again. As the divine universe steel radiated, scarlet talisman scripts flew over from the surroundings and entered the steel. When Xiao Chen sensed a blood moon appear on the Tao platform in the divine universe steel, he stopped. Then, he put away the divine universe steel and started to look around, searching for a way out of this hazy, chaotic, scarlet world. 1 hour later, Xiao Chen followed the previous generation heaven dragon's method and successfully triggered the spatial tunnel hidden in the blood moon. Xiao Chen's body immediately shot upward uncontrollably. He moved more than 100 times faster than Xiao Chen's movement technique. Xiao Chen's surroundings spun around. Time and space turned blurry. He could not distinguish the east, south, or north. When Xiao Chen startled to his senses, he felt himself rapidly falling to the ground. When Xiao Chen looked around, the night sky was hazy and sinister, giving off a cold qi. This startled Xiao Chen slightly. This was a familiar yet strange feeling. This was the night of the desolate sea. When Xiao Chen looked up, he saw a blood moon several times larger than the small world above. The blood moon hung in the sky, looking like he could touch it if he stretched out his hand. An extremely realistic misconception appeared in Xiao Chen's heart. He felt like he was falling from the blood moon. Chapter 2077. Whoosh! Xiao Chen gently pushed off the air and looked around. What is this place? Xiao Chen was certain that this was the desolate sea. However, he did not know where in the desolate sea was. Xiao Chen felt that his surroundings were somewhat familiar, but most of them were unfamiliar. There was a small city about 500,000 kilometers in front. It was not large. Rather than a city, it was more like a town. Such a small city was rare in the desolate sea. Azure Mountain? Wait a minute. Xiao Chen extended out his spiritual sense and discovered a familiar peak. After not seeing it for 4 years, the Azure Mountain looked the same, unchanged. Xiao Chen thought for a while. It looked like the small village in the past had turned into a city. No wonder Xiao Chen found it both familiar and strange. After landing firmly, Xiao Chen was in a good mood. After being trapped for 4 years, he finally managed to get out. The small village in the past had turned into a city. It looked like it was developing pretty well. With the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's promise, no one dared to make a move. It made sense that the place gradually developed. Someone is here. Furthermore, it is a sovereign personage. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. In an instant, he brought out the azure dragon body and transformed his physical body. His physical body turned illusory, turning into ice and silently retreating, vanishing into the night. After a while, 2 figures descended from the sky. One of them wore black and looked older. He exuded a faint demonic qi. Xiao Chen recognized this aura. This person cultivated the demonic cultivation technique of the Heavenly Slaughter sect, one of the 6 demonic Tao sections. The other person was a middle-aged man in scarlet robes, exuding an air of nobility. He did not look like someone from the Heavenly Slaughter sect. It has been almost 4 years, and you still have not completed the mission that the 8th prince gave you. Elder son, I don't know what you are doing. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man scolded with a cold expression after the 2 landed. The black-clad old man said helplessly, "It is not that this old man is useless. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor promised that no one in the desolate sea would openly make a move on this Azure Mountain town. That Qin Zhuolin has not left in secret, so there is no chance to make a move." "Humph! You can't even do such a small thing, yet you are finding so many excuses. You have disappointed the 8th prince. The 8th prince has lost his patience. No matter what method you use, you must finish it tonight." The scarlet-clothed middle-aged man snorted coldly. He looked at the black-clothed man with an expressionless face and said, "Do as you see fit. I've come here this time. If I let the 8th prince do it himself, then there's no need for you to exist." The black-clothed old man hurriedly said, "Your Excellency, you can't be like this. You and I saw it when we entered the city. I won't even have the chance to attack. Once I do, I'll definitely be exposed." The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes said, "It doesn't matter even if it's exposed. How could it be possible to achieve great things without paying a price? At that time, I will delay Qin Zhuolin while you make your move. If you are exposed, just find a scapegoat in the Heavenly Slaughter sect to apologize to the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. What's more, we're not really going to attack Qingshan City, so it's not too much." The black-robed old man had a conflicted look on his face. Clearly, he was very hesitant. There were almost no experts in Green Mountain City. Only Qin Zhuolin presided over this place. However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor personally promised to protect this place. Making a move in the city would be like slapping the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's face. This scarlet-clad, middle-aged man had a deep background and a terrifying origin. He did not fear the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, but Xiao Chen could not do so. However, offending the 8th prince would not end well. Most importantly, if Xiao Chen succeeded, the benefits he would gain would be startling. After thinking for a long time, the black-robed old man made up his mind. He said, "All right, tonight it is. However, Milord said it first. Once I'm exposed, you have to protect me. Don't worry. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor wants face as well. At that time, I'll bring a scapegoat to apologize and take the initiative to admit my mistake. Will he kill me with one slap? I'm not really going to destroy this Qingshan city. All right, let's do it then." After the two made up their minds, they no longer hesitated. After discussing the details, they flew towards Qingshan City again. Whoosh! When the two of them were far away, a wisp of cold light silently appeared in the pitch-black night sky like a stream of light. Xiao Qun frowned slightly. Why are these two going to Blue Dragon City? The black-robed old man was a small perfection sovereign personage. Coincidentally, Xiao Qun had met this old man before. Back when Xiao Qun was destroying the nearby Heavenly Slaughter sect strongholds, the most dangerous experience he had had was when 3 sovereign personages surrounded him. This old man had been one of them. However, this old man was not worth mentioning before Xiao Qun now. What Xiao Qun paid some attention to was the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. For a small perfection sovereign personage Heavenly Slaughter sect elder to be so respectful before this scarlet-clad man, this person had to have a great background. The Heavenly Slaughter sect is really persistent. Since I ran into them, they can forget about causing trouble for me. A murderous intent flashed on Xiao Qun's calm face. Xiao Qun did not have a good impression of the Heavenly Slaughter sect at all. 4 years ago, Xiao Qun had used his late-stage Holy Venerate cultivation to destroy all 88 nearby Heavenly Slaughter sect strongholds. Xiao Qun already knew what kind of people these people were. They would do anything to achieve their goals. They raised bandits to do evil, not letting off the elderly, women, and children. For the sake of cultivating a demonic Dao cultivation technique, they even reared children, devoid of conscience and humanity. Xiao Qun hid his aura and quietly followed. When Xiao Qun got close to Azure Mountain Town, he was surprised to discover that this tiny city had a defensive formation. This should be Qin Zhuolin's handiwork. This person was a good friend. Even though Xiao Qun thought that he was dead, he still helped him guard Azure Mountain Town until now. However, this defensive formation mainly targeted desolate slaves and other foul things that came out at night. It did not have much effect on sovereign personages. With the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's promise, normally, no one would come here to cause trouble. Under the moonlight, the residents of the small city had already fallen asleep. The entire town appeared quiet and peaceful. As Xiao Qun followed the two into the city, he saw the two say something to each other after entering the city. Then, they went their separate ways. After thinking for a while, Xiao Qun made up his mind to follow the black-clad old man. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man should be going to find Qin Zhuolin. Given Xiao Qun's understanding of Qin Zhuolin, even if Qin Zhuolin was not a match for this scarlet-clad man, his life would not be in any danger. Even now, Xiao Qun found Qin Zhuolin somewhat mysterious and unfathomable. It was already late at night and the city was pitch dark. The lights of the various clans had already been extinguished long ago. Only a rather tall pavilion still had lights burning. This was Qin Zhuolin's residence. Qin Zhuolin and Sang drank in the pavilion, casually chatting. This Azure Mountain town had developed under these two's watch. After a few years, their friendship had deepened significantly. Qin Zhuolin drained the wine in his cup in one go. Then, he asked softly, "Sang, are you sure that Xiao Qun is still alive?" Sang nodded and said, "You asked me many times already. I'm very sure that he is not dead." The propping mulberry tree was still in the Divine Universe steel. Through this faint connection, Sang could sense some of Xiao Qun's aura. Sang was very sure that Xiao Qun was not dead. However, Sang had no idea where he was. Qin Zhuolin had not had a good time in the past 4 years. He regretted his decision back then. He should not have let Xiao Qun follow him down. The Heavenly Dao killing formation prevented Qin Zhuolin from bringing out his previous experience and strength. In the end, Qin Zhuolin walked out alone. Even after 4 years, there was no news of Xiao Qun. It was hard not to feel guilty and unable to forgive himself. No matter what, this fellow should have come out after 4 years. Qin Zhuolin muttered to himself. If it were him, he would have gone crazy after being trapped for 4 years. Even if he did not die, being trapped and unable to come out was also a form of torture. Suddenly, Qin Zhuolin's and Sang's expressions changed at the same time. Qin Zhuolin said indifferently, "Come out. Stop hiding." Ha ha. Light flickered and the lanterns in the pavilion flickered. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man appeared out of nowhere. He looked at Qin Zhuolin and said, "You truly deserve to be the only successor of the heavenly Dipper Gate. I just arrived, and young Master Qin already discovered me." The Xuewu dynasty's people? When Qin Zhuolin saw the scarlet-clad man, he felt slightly startled. Then, he mocked, "Interesting. To think that a desolate place like Azure Mountain Town would attract the people of the Xuewu dynasty's royal court." At the same time, Qin Zhuolin sent a voice projection to Sang, "This fellow might have companions. Go out and take a look. I'll deal with him." "Right." Sang replied and prepared to leave silently. "Ha ha. Stay behind. Don't think about leaving." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man laughed maniacally. Then, he waved his hand, and a wriggling clump of blood formed a barrier, isolating this space. When Sang punched the barrier, the viscous blood barrier squirmed slowly. It felt like he punched cotton, powerless. "My filthy blood barrier has already reached the 6th layer. Even a peak sovereign personage might not be able to break it. The two of you should just give up. Stay here and chat with me. If you have a good attitude, I will not attack you," the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man said with a faint smile. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man revealed a confident expression as he smiled faintly. Chapter 2078. Inside the filthy blood barrier, the expressions of Qin Zhuolin and Sang changed. "Attack!" The two exchanged glances and immediately made up their minds, charging at the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man at the same time. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man smiled coldly and said, "No one is a match for me in my filthy blood barrier. The two of you are seeking death." An intense battle quickly unfolded in the filthy blood barrier. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man was a great perfection sovereign personage in the first place, far superior to Qin Zhuolin's and Sang's. Hence, he held a significant advantage in the filthy blood barrier. However, Qin Zhuolin and Sang were not as simple as they appeared. One was a mysterious and unfathomable geomaster, and the other was a being born in the propping mulberry tree. When the two worked together, they were not at a disadvantage. This startled the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. However, his expression did not change, not changing at all. Taking down these two would indeed require a lot of effort, more difficult than expected. However, as long as Shao Chun followed the original plan and delayed these two, he could leave smoothly after Elder Sun was done. There was no need to worry too much. On the other side, Shao Chun followed the black-clad old man, moving stealthily through Azure Mountain Town. Azure Mountain Town was not large. Soon, the black-clad old man stopped in front of a residence. "That is..." Shao Chun frowned slightly. Afraid of alerting the enemy, he did not dare to use his spiritual sense rashly. However, he vaguely guessed something. These two were here for the extreme Yin body, Qingchen. Shao Chun already knew 4 years ago that the Heavenly Slaughter sect was in the desolate sea working for the 8th prince. Most of the young girls that the 8th prince had plundered were given to the Blood Moon dynasty. Bang! The black-clad old man shouted coldly without any expression on his face as he suddenly attacked. The house in front silently crumbled to dust, causing the young girl and the little boy who lived in it to feel horrified. After not seeing Qing Chen for 4 years, she had grown significantly taller. The little boy should be her younger brother. "Elder sister!" The little boy cried out in fear as he hid behind Qing Chen. Qing Chen showed a nervous expression, but she still shielded her younger brother. She shouted, "Who are you? Quickly leave this place. Azure Mountain Town is protected by the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor." The black-clad old man smiled and said, "Of course, I know that this lousy place is protected by the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Otherwise, I would have brought you away 3 years ago." Under the moonlight, Qing Chen looked incredibly delicate. Her eyes flickered with a bright light. Qing Chen's delicate body gave off a cold and aloof air. Right now, even if Qing Chen was an ordinary person, one could tell that she had an extraordinary air. As expected of the extreme Yin body. It's a pity that the 8th prince has taken a fancy to you. Come with me. Greed flashed in the black-clad old man's eyes. He stepped forward, wanting to take Qing Chen away. Old son, I dare you to take another step forward. Just at this moment, the black-clothed old man suddenly heard a chilling voice coming from behind him. The bone-chilling killing intent instantly pierced into their bodies, causing them to feel as though they had fallen into an ice cave, their bodies turning cold. The black-robed old man was scared witless. Who was it that had silently appeared behind him? And he had no reaction at all. Who are you? I am an outer sect elder of the Heavenly Fiend sect. At the crucial moment, the black-robed old man used the name of the Heavenly Fiend sect to protect himself. In the desolate sea, the Heavenly Fiend sect was rather famous. Not just anyone dared to offend a rank 7 sect of the 6 demonic Tao great sections. Unfortunately, the one that the black-robed old man ran into was Xiaochen. Who am I? Just turn around and you will see. The black-robed old man turned around somewhat nervously. When he looked up, he saw a white-clad youth with delicate features. Under the moonlight, he gave off an extraordinary air, looking like he was shining with bright light. Even the night could not hide his sharpness. Xiao Chen. The black-robed old man had interacted with Xiao Chen before. Back then, Xiao Chen had nearly died at his hands. However, there had been no news of Xiao Chen in the past 4 years. Rumor had it that Xiao Chen had either been killed by the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Mu or the Hound Lion Empire's Crown Prince Xiahou Wu. In any case, Xiao Chen was a dead man. When the black-robed old man saw the other party suddenly appear before him, he was startled. Run! The other party was only a small perfection sovereign personage, the same cultivation as the black-robed old man. However, the pressure that he brought was nearly suffocating. The black-robed old man did not even think. His figure flashed, and he soared into the air, wanting to merge into the night and take the opportunity to flee. You think you can leave? Xiao Chen smiled coldly, and a candle dragon image appeared behind him. Then 2 candle flames lit up in his eyes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. An icy flame instantly burned the black-robed old man in the air, causing him to cry out in pain. It was not just his physical body. A strange cold flame even ignited his soul at this moment. The black-robed old man stumbled and fell to the ground. Before the black-robed old man could extinguish the flame on his body, Xiao Chen waved his hand and used Firmament's rage to grab his neck. Don't kill me! Don't kill me! I was just following orders. I am an outer sect elder of the Heavenly Slaughter sect. If you kill me, you will have an irreconcilable enmity with the Heavenly Slaughter sect. The horrifying great desolate Ian ancestor dragon's rage encased the black-robed old man, and boundless saber chi assaulted his entire body. As long as the black-robed old man dared to act rashly, Xiao Chen could easily destroy him with just a thought. Now, Xiao Chen could finally control Firmament's rage as he pleased, reaching the level of the first palace master back then. The boundless rage could shake the surroundings and shake the sky. However, when Xiao Chen executed it, he did so effortlessly and effortlessly. It's too late. From the moment he stepped into Azure Mountain Town, Xiao Chen had already sentenced this person to death in his heart. Xiao Chen took Firmament's rage a step further. The 5-element divine lightning infused into his palm, and a small world made of lightning and saber chi immediately formed in his palm. Xiao Chen instantly grasped the black-robed old man in his palm. He ferociously clenched his fist. When he opened his hand, blood shot out together with the saber intent and lightning in the air. The black-robed old man died without a complete corpse. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he arrived beside Qing Chen and her younger brother. Qing Chen's eyes brimmed with tears as she asked in disbelief, "Big brother, is that you?" Xiao Chen smiled faintly. His appearance had changed significantly. Qing Chen, who was already a young girl, was still the same as before. Qing Chen's eyes would brim with tears at the slightest provocation. However, she would always stand before her younger brother. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "It's me. I'm back." Qing Chen smiled between tears and said, "Big brother, you finally returned. Many people said that you would not return. Little Qing Chen felt that you would definitely return, just like 4 years ago. No matter how long I waited, you would return." 4 years ago, Xiao Chen had destroyed the heavenly slaughter sect's 88 strongholds near Peach Blossom City alone. At that time, many people felt that Xiao Chen would not return. Only Qing Chen persisted in waiting for Xiao Chen. "Don't cry. Bring your younger brother to find Grandpa 7 first and settle him down. I still have something to do," Xiao Chen said softly after consoling Qing Chen for a while. "Right. Little Qing Chen will listen to Big Brother." Qing Chen turned her head and glanced at Xiao Chen. Then, she quickly led her younger brother to Grandpa Seven's residence. Xiao Chen sighed softly. As someone with an extreme Yin body, it was practically impossible for her to live an ordinary life. Xiao Chen looked around and fixed his gaze on the pavilion in the distance. Then, his eyes slowly turned cold. At this moment, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man in the pavilion became increasingly relaxed against Qin Zhuolin and Sang. As time passed, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man slowly revealed his advantage in the filthy blood barrier. Qin Zhuolin and Sang attacked a few times but failed to break the filthy blood barrier. Instead, they gave it to the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. "Just give up. You have no chance of defeating me in the filthy blood barrier. I am already very restrained. If I want to, I can kill you at any time." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man smiled coldly after knocking back Sang and Qin Zhuolin again. "Damn it. This filthy blood barrier suppresses us too much. It completely cuts off the spiritual energy of the outside world. On the other hand, he can obtain endless energy from the filthy blood barrier." Sang said somewhat helplessly. Right now, he was already a small perfection sovereign personage. His strength was no weaker than that of an ordinary great perfection sovereign personage. Qin Zhuolin was even more so. 4 years ago, he was already a small perfection sovereign personage and grasped many secret techniques. When the two worked together, they did not fear any great perfection sovereign personage. However, this filthy blood barrier made it extremely difficult for the two to deal with the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. Bang! The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man threw another palm strike. Boundless energy immediately surged over, making the might of his palm strike look like a vast sea with boundless momentum. Blood leaked out of Qin Zhuolin's and Sang's mouths as they crashed into the barrier wall. "I am unrivaled in the filthy blood barrier." The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man showed a cocky expression as he laughed loudly. He continuously unleashed the aura of a great perfection sovereign personage, making Sang and Qin Zhuolin feel even more uncomfortable. "Is that so? Why don't I think so?" Just at this moment, an uncoordinated figure came from the filthy blood barrier. Xiao Chen's figure suddenly appeared before the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. This startled the other party. "Who are you? How did you get in?" "You don't have to care about that." Martial and soul as one. Xiao Chen's will of soul merged with his martial Dao as he coldly swung his saber with a cold expression. The resplendent saber light immediately made the filthy blood barrier lose its dazzling scarlet light, leaving only black and white. Bang! The filthy blood barrier instantly shattered, and the saber in Xiao Chen's hand pierced into the other party's chest. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man vomited a mouthful of blood as he did his best to block, not letting Xiao Chen's saber go any deeper. He blocked it? Xiao Chen found this slightly strange. At such a close distance, the other party actually blocked his martial and soul as one saber strike. That made sense. After all, the other party was a great perfection sovereign personage. If he could not even block one saber strike from Shao Chen, he would be too weak. Blood Shadow Demonic Claw. Die. When the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man felt Shao Chen's attack pause, he became enraged and attacked ferociously. The might of a dynasty burst forth from his body. His eyes turned blood-red, and his golden pupils looked like crescent moons. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man's right hand instantly turned into a demonic claw that rivaled a great desolate aeon ferocious beast. It erupted with a demonic might that rivaled that of a great desolate aeon ferocious beast, wanting to tear Shao Chen into pieces. You think that this is my peak strike? In that case, you are wrong. I was just warming up. Flawless Saber Dao, using the heart as a saber. Shao Chen quickly pulled out the tyrant saber from the other party's chest, bringing out his saber great Dao to its limit. Saber light shone all over Shao Chen's body. The boundless saber aura gathered on the saber. The saber light was like the moon, and the saber images were like the wind. Just as the terrifying demonic claw was about to grab him, Shao Chen poked hundreds of holes in the other party's body. Pu-ci. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man vomited a mouthful of blood, and the blood shadow demonic claw crumbled on its own. The rebound worsened his injuries. Martial and soul as one. Horror flashed in the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man's eyes as he looked at Shao Chen. To think that Shao Chen used martial and soul as one. Legend had it that even sovereign emperors found it hard to achieve. Blood shadow demonic evasion. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man roared and suddenly self-detonated, turning into thousands of scarlet lines that scattered in all directions. This was the Blood Shadow Dynasty's secret technique. As long as one scarlet line managed to escape, one could survive. However, once one executed this secret technique, one would have to suffer extremely terrifying consequences. Unless absolutely necessary, no one would use it. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man thought that he would only execute this secret technique when he ran into a sovereign emperor. Unexpectedly, a small perfection sovereign personage forced him into such a state. However, if the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man knew what Shao Chen was thinking, he would definitely go crazy. Shao Chen wondered if he should give chase. That was right. Even if the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man executed the blood shadow demonic evasion, Shao Chen still had ways to chase after him. It would just be somewhat problematic. Chapter 2079. To chase or not to chase? Shao Chen hesitated for only 1 second before making his decision. Chase. Under the blood moon, Shao Chen soared into the air. At this moment, he unleashed his veritable essence energy, soul energy, and 3 great Dao without holding anything back. Flawless Dao, using the body as a saber. Shao Chen incorporated the Ice Dao and the Thunder Dao into his flawless saber Dao and materialized them. Under the huge blood moon, the white-clad Shao Chen brandished the tyrant saber and danced wildly under the moonlight. At this moment, Shao Chen was like a flower bud bathed in moonlight, waiting to bloom. In the next moment, the petals bloomed, and boundless resplendent saber lights burst out. Countless mysterious phenomena appeared at the same time. The blood moon in the sky instantly paled in comparison. Strands of saber lights burst out of Shao Chen's body. Be it his fine black hair or his white robes, they could all be used as sabers at this moment. Whoosh! Thousands of saber lights burst out under the blood moon. Shao Chen continuously chopped apart strands of bloodlines. Sharp, miserable shrieks echoed in the cold night. The blood shadow demonic evasion was an escape technique that only the Xuewu dynasty's royal clan grasped. However, at this moment, Shao Chen used the most intense method to break it. No matter how many clones you have, I have one saber. I can send out thousands of saber light. Break, break, break. Shao Chen chopped off a total of 9,000 bloodlines. When only 10 remained, the bloodlines mended. Before the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man could escape Azure Mountain Town, he vomited a mouthful of blood. His complexion paled as he appeared. If he had not appeared, Shao Chen would have killed him, not even leaving a corpse. "You're out?" Shao Chen's lips curled up in a smile as he ferociously tossed out the saber in his hand. Whoosh! Whoosh! The perfectly straight tyrant saber, which was 2 fingers wide and 1 meter long, spun continuously as it flew towards the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. The purple saber flickered with moonlight as it flew over, kicking up a strong wind. The tyrant's saber did not fly very fast. Logically speaking, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man should have been able to dodge easily. However, the middle-aged man's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with helplessness. In despair, Shao Chen discovered that the aura carried by the saber had already suppressed him. It was like a mountain pressing down on him. No, it was even more terrifying than a mountain pressing down on him. Even the towering mountains could not withstand a single blow from the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. He could shatter them with a single punch. The aura of the tyrant's saber was incomparably sharp, mercilessly shattering the remnant aura in Shao Chen's body. His aura was like a vast ocean, bringing with it endless power, completely suppressing him. Shao Chen could only watch helplessly as the tyrant's saber flew towards him. A bona fide great perfection sovereign personage ended up like this. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man felt boundless sorrow in his heart. Below, the somewhat stunned Qin Zhuolin startled awake. He said, "Shao Chen, don't kill this person yet." Poochie. With Qin Zhuolin's size, the tyrant's saber, which should have shredded the scarlet shadow, middle-aged man's body, did not last long. However, the tyrant's saber stabbed the scarlet shadow, middle-aged man's chest, and pinned him to the ground. After gently landing, Shao Chen looked at Sang and Qin Zhuolin. The 3 exchanged glances, sighing in their hearts. Sang kept saying that you were fine. Now, I finally believe him. With your strength, I no longer have to feel guilty. Qin Zhuolin heaved a sigh of relief. He had often blamed himself over the past 4 years. Now that Shao Chen appeared and suppressed a great perfection sovereign personage, he would definitely gain a great fortuitous encounter. This was a blessing in disguise. Although Shao Chen did not feel jealous, he could not help feeling some envy. Sang pointed to the front and said, "Let's catch up later. Let's see what exactly this fellow is here for." "Right." Shao Chen nodded. The 3 pushed off with their feet and arrived beside the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man in a few leaps. Upon seeing the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man pinned to the ground by the tyrant's saber, unable to move, Shao Chen felt gratified. Earlier, Shao Chen brandished his saber under the blood moon. In reality, Shao Chen had already used his full power, not holding anything back. If he still could not hold this scarlet-clad, middle-aged man back, then his 4 years of bitter cultivation would have been for nothing. In the end, Shao Chen materialized his flawless saber Dao because he discovered a flaw in his saber Dao. Some of the things that he once did not care about and threw away became shackles on him. Shao Chen needed to fix this flaw before he could advance his saber great Dao to a Dao domain. Otherwise, he might not be able to advance further. "Brother Qin, why can't we kill this person?" Shao Chen asked softly. Qin Zhuolin explained. "He is a member of the Xuewu dynasty's royal clan. We cannot casually offend the Xuewu dynasty. It is a faction even more terrifying than the 6 great demonic Dao sections. The Xuewu dynasty dominated the lower regions of the central Great Realm, ruling over all the demonic Dao factions in the world. Alone, it clashed with the 3 dynasties and the 8 great empires. Just this point alone showed how strong the Xuewu dynasty was. However, Shao Chen already knew about this. He smiled and said, "So, that's why. I already knew before I came. He is the 8th prince's man. However, he is clearly just a sacrificial pawn. Otherwise, the 8th prince would not have left the matter of offending the Peach Blossom sovereign emperor to him. If we kill him, so be it. There is no value in that. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man, who had been listening carefully, panicked when he heard that. This matter concerned his life and death, so he had to rush. He quickly said, "Don't kill me. I am the 8th Prince's trusted subordinate. Spare my life. The 8th Prince will definitely come and save me. At that time, you can obtain benefits from the 8th Prince." Shao Chun stepped forward and drew his tyrant saber, causing the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man to scream in pain. "Brother Qin, what do you think?" Qin Zhuolin thought for a while before saying, "Since the 8th Prince sent him, if he dies, the 8th Prince will definitely guess that we did it. No matter what, we will offend the 8th Prince. We might as well spare his life and let the 8th Prince pay a price to take him away. At least we can make use of trash." Shao Chun thought about it and agreed. The 8th Prince wanted Qin Chun. No matter what, Shao Chun would not give her to him. Whether Shao Chun killed the other party or not, he would offend the 8th Prince. Qin Zhuolin was right. Just make use of trash. When the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man heard that, he felt like vomiting blood. "What do you mean make use of trash? To think that I, a bona fide great perfection sovereign personage, am treated like trash to survive. Damn it. Don't give me an opportunity. I will definitely make you pay tenfold." However, when the scarlet-clad man thought about it, he recalled that this white-clad man comprehended martial and soul as one at such a young age. Even as a small perfection sovereign personage, he could defeat the scarlet-clad man. How could he have a chance to take revenge in the future? Such strength was already no weaker than the 8th Prince's. "What are you thinking about?" Shao Chun watched as the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man fell to the ground, his eyes still darting around. Shao Chun ruthlessly smacked the scarlet-clad man's face with his scabbard. Then, he quickly left a seal in the scarlet-clad man's body, restricting his soul energy and veritable essence energy, turning him into a cripple. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man cried out in pain. The pain was unbearable, so he quickly collected his thoughts and stopped thinking. Lock him up first. Send news of his capture to the Shiwu dynasty's 8th Prince. If he does not come in half a month, kill him. Shao Chen's casual words determined the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man's fate. Half a month? That is impossible. When the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man heard that, he wanted to say something. However, before he could speak, Sang knocked him out. Qin Zhuolin said, "Shao Chen, you seem to know why these two are here?" Shao Chen nodded and said, "They are here for the extreme Yin body. The demonic Tao cultivation technique that the 8th Prince cultivates requires a large number of young girls. An extreme Yin body is a boundless temptation for him." Extreme Yin body? This is somewhat difficult. If no major faction takes him in, something will happen to him sooner or later. Neither of us can protect him, Qin Zhuolin said seriously, feeling slightly startled when he heard that. "It's fine. I already thought of the arrangement." "It's good that you thought of it. Tell us, how did you spend the past 4 years? Qin Zhuolin asked out of curiosity. Shao Chun revealed a rueful expression. "My experiences in the past 4 years are hard to describe in a few words." It was indeed hard to describe in a few words. For 2 years, Shao Chun got beaten up by 2 venomous puppets. He nearly lost his martial Tao heart. These were memories that Shao Chun could not forget for the rest of his life. After 2 years, Shao Chun worked hard to catch up. Only then did he regain his confidence in his martial Tao heart. Shao Chun hid some of his experiences from the Blue Dragon Ancient City and the Golden Armored Army. He only talked about the black and white eggs and the palace that their master left behind. Ah! To think that there are such amusing puppets. I have to see them when I have a chance. Qin Zhuolin could not help laughing after hearing that. After chatting until dawn, the two took their leave, letting Shao Chun rest alone. After 4 years, Shao Chun finally had some free time to relax. However, Shao Chun did not truly rest. He spent this time in his storage ring, searching for the secret treasure that the dragon spirit mentioned. The storage ring was very messy, containing all sorts of things. There was a large pile of things in the Kunlun realm alone. After arriving at the Great Thousand Realms, there were even more. After tidying up the storage ring, Xiao Chen actually discovered some treasures that he had not noticed before. Although they were useless to Xiao Chen, he could make some money if he sold them. Right now, Xiao Chen lacked resources. Every bit he could get counted as a sum. However, even after searching for more than 4 hours, he still did not find what he was looking for. What kind of secret treasure can help me bring out the state of cycle? Just as Xiao Chen felt somewhat frustrated, he took out a simple and unadorned bronze mirror. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. 3-Life Mirror? Chapter 2080. The 3-Life Mirror. The moment Xiao Chen saw the 3-Life Mirror, he was stunned for a long time. He had truly forgotten about this treasure. Since Little 3, the item spirit, forcibly stopped time in the Kunlun realm, it had been in a deep sleep. The 3-Life Mirror could see the past and the future, controlling time. It was a legendary, powerful, immortal equipment. The secret treasure that the dragon spirit mentioned should be this 3-Life Mirror. It could see the past, the present, and the future, as well as control time, perfectly compatible with the state of cycle. However, even Little 3, the item spirit, found it extremely difficult to use. Now that Little 3 was still in a deep sleep, could Xiao Chen rely on this secret treasure? Xiao Chen frowned slightly and sent a strand of spiritual sense into the 3-Life Mirror. The world in the mirror, Little 3 lay quietly amid the clouds, like an immortal realm. Xiao Chen could use this ancient mirror. Before Little 3 fell into a deep sleep, it had passed the control over the ancient mirror to him. Xiao Chen would be forced to use it. The time Dao was very dangerous. Xiao Chen had experienced it firsthand. Little 3 before him was a very good example. Xiao Chen withdrew his spiritual sense, and the 3-Life Mirror floated before him. Then, he entered deep thought. It was somewhat unrealistic to directly bring out the 3-Life Mirror. He could use the 3-Life Mirror as a supplement to bring out the state of cycle. However, that might not be impossible. As for the risks involved, Xiao Chen would have to consider them carefully. Inside the room, Xiao Chen paced back and forth, entering deep thought. If he could bring out his strongest state of cycle in the Great Thousand Realms, it would have far-reaching implications. It would be even more terrifying than practicing the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. After all, no matter how strong the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique was, it was still a martial technique comprehended by others. However, the state of cycle was something that Xiao Chen comprehended himself. The two were completely different concepts. However, if he failed, the consequences spatial energy could tear apart Xiao Chen's divine body, which had just awakened once. What more time energy? To fight or not to fight? Fight. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and grasped the 3-Life Mirror. How many years had it been? He had walked this path. After experiencing life and death countless times, he was already used to it. This heart did not fear challenges. Xiao Chen did not hesitate to do it. Master, let me out to play for a while. Just at this moment, the demon blood vulture's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind. Just like him, he had been trapped in the land of the Blood Moon for 4 years. Although he didn't have many fortuitous encounters like him. However, the land of the Blood Moon had no light all year round. It was filled with a demonic cold chi that was endless. The demon blood vulture had reached great perfection sovereign personage, even stronger than Xiao Chen. The yin chi in the land of the Blood Moon was too heavy, but the spiritual energy was insufficient. Xiao Chen did not have any resources, either, so he could only be a sovereign personage for now. After releasing the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chen started experimenting alone in the courtyard. Xiao. The 3-Life Mirror turned into a bright light and fused into Xiao Chen's body. His flesh, blood, soul, and quintessence began to fuse with the 3-Life Mirror. The fusion process was quite smooth. Around Xiao Chen, time and space fluctuated. Many things that had happened in the past turned into countless scrolls that appeared in all directions. The memories of the past gathered together. At this moment, time seemed like flowing water, gently flowing before Xiao Chen's eyes. The previous experiences, which represented Xiao Chen's past, turned into flowing light and entered his body. Time was merciless. Back then, Xiao Chen had also been young and inexperienced. In the blink of an eye, so many years had passed. The past had already happened, and the future was unfathomable. The scenes representing Xiao Chen's future appeared. They were all hazy, unfathomable, and unfathomable. Xiao Chen did not want to see them either. He always believed that man could conquer nature and that the future was limitless. When the light representing the future entered his body, the past, future, and present, the three-life mirror, completely merged with Xiao Chen. At the same time, 7 beams of light came out from behind Xiao Chen. Those were the 7 colored lights representing the state of cycle. Whether Xiao Chen could gather them and merge them into one, bringing out the true state of cycle would depend on this moment. Condense! Xiao Chen shouted, and the 7 colored lights started to slowly merge. He felt an incredibly strong resistance. In the Great Thousand Realms, the structure of space and time was completely different from that of the Kunlun realm. It was not that Xiao Chen had not tried it before. However, it was completely ineffective, so he gave up. Today, Xiao Chen merged with the three-life mirror and tried again. If he still failed, there would be no hope of reappearing the state of cycle. The three-life mirror in Xiao Chen's body released a resplendent light, silently radiating out from his body. While the exterior did not look any different, Xiao Chen vaguely felt that the resistance to the 7 colored lights merging had decreased significantly. With a burst of energy, he let out a roar. The 7 colored lights instantly merged into one. Seizing this opportunity, Xiao Chen used his soul energy and veritable essence energy to drive the state of cycle at the same time. The cycle Dao reversing time. Immediately, an even stronger resistance than before appeared in front of Xiao Chen. It was like he was going against the entire world. Every step he took was incredibly difficult. Kaxie. Halfway through, cracks appeared on Xiao Chen's body, and blood seeped out. This was forcefully reversing time. The price that his physical body had to bear was several times greater than what he faced in the Kunlun realm. Xiao Chen could no longer pull back the foot he took. At this moment, aside from withstanding the pressure and continuing forward, there was nothing he could do. The world before Xiao Chen already turned blurry. Half of his body had already entered the time tunnel. Space-time storms filled the surroundings. If he made any mistakes, his bones would shatter, and his soul would scatter. I'll risk it. Just as his physical body could no longer endure, a spiritual light encased Xiao Chen. It was the three-life mirror. The three-life mirror reflects 3 lives, seeing through karma and reincarnation. It illuminates one's heart for generations to come, reversing the past and the future. An ethereal immortal art appeared in Xiao Chen's mind, and the world before him slowly turned clear. What appeared before Xiao Chen was the courtyard he was standing in. Success. However, this world rejected him infinitely, and his physical body quickly immaterialized. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen instantly drew the saber in his hand and chopped down the tree in the courtyard. His body completely immaterialized, and Xiao Chen returned to reality. Then, he vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back. Whoosh! Did I really succeed? Nothing changed in front of Xiao Chen. However, the physical injuries felt incredibly real. Fortunately, the three-life mirror protected his soul in the space-time tunnel. Xiao Chen's skin, flesh, bones, and internal organs all shattered. However, his soul remained unharmed. Just as Xiao Chen felt uncertain, the tree in front of him silently snapped in half without any warning. This stunned Xiao Chen for a moment. Then, he started laughing maniacally. I succeeded. I really succeeded. He successfully brought out the will of cycle in the great thousand realms. Indeed, the dragon spirit did not lie to him. The three-life mirror could indeed help him bring out the state of cycle. Although the effect before him was not obvious, this was only the first time. As long as he cultivated it slowly, he would be able to achieve the same effect as when he was in the Kunlun realm. This allowed him to reverse spacetime. As long as he stayed in the past or the future for 1 second, he could change the situation of life and death. How could such a heaven-defying technique not make one go wild with joy? After the wild joy, Xiao Chen calmed down. This is just the beginning. When Xiao Chen's physical injuries recovered, he continued practicing. Once he executed this heaven-defying killing move, he could change the situation at any time. 10 days later, Xiao Chen finally familiarized himself with the three-life mirror and executed the cycle chop. Xiao Chen could stay in the future for 1 second and execute a peak saber strike. This was not comparable to the 3 seconds he could stay in the Kunlun realm. However, it was still a significant improvement. After all, Xiao Chen had not been able to execute this move before. On this particular day, just as Xiao Chen was about to continue cultivating, Sang and Qin Zhuolin came to find Xiao Chen. The 8th prince is coming. Which 8th prince? Xiao Chen asked, feeling confused. Qin Zhuolin said helplessly, "What have you been doing recently? How could you forget such an important matter? The Xuewu dynasty's 8th prince?" Xiao Chen let out a soft sigh. Then, he recalled that he still had the trash of the Xuewu dynasty's royal clan. When will he arrive? We received the news 7 days ago. If there are no surprises, he should arrive tomorrow or the day after, Qin Zhuolin said with a somewhat nervous expression. After all, the 8th prince was the prince of the strongest dynasty in the central Great Realm. They had to treat him seriously. No matter what they did, this matter would not be easy to resolve. Xiao Chen entered deep thought and said, "He really will come. His main purpose is probably Qing Chen." However, that did not matter. Xiao Chen already received news of his arrangement. Sang asked, "What should we do?" "It would be best if we can dispel his thoughts and resolve this peacefully. If not, there is no need for us to fear him." Chapter 2081. The Xuewu dynasty was a major faction in the west of the central Great Realm, ruling over the demonic Tao. Naturally, none of the royal court disciples were simple. There were no weaklings. Ordinary people would not take the initiative to offend the Xuewu dynasty's princes. Naturally, Xiao Chen would not do so either. However, the other party targeted Qing Chen and even sent an expert to infiltrate Azure Mountain Town. Of the 2 experts, one was captured and the other was killed. Since there was already a grudge, there was no need for Xiao Chen to overthink it. 2 days later, when the morning sun rose, an undisguised demonic might appeared outside the city. Xiao Chen, Sang, and Qin Zhuolin sensed this aura at the same time. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man locked up in the dungeon also sensed this aura. He revealed an excited expression and said, "It's the 8th prince. There is hope now." Given the 8th prince's status and strength, Xiao Chen will not dare to hold back. However, Sang brought the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man out before the scarlet-clad man could think. After a while, Xiao Chen's group gathered. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man, whose cultivation was sealed, was tossed to the side. Boom! Just at this moment, demonic clouds encased the entire Azure Mountain Town. The sky instantly darkened, blocking out the rising sun. The villagers of Azure Mountain Town did not know what was going on, appearing confused. The black demonic clouds contained a terrifying demonic might, inspiring panic. The heavy pressure made Xiao Chen's group somewhat uncomfortable. Qin Zhuolin frowned slightly. What a strong demonic might! Before this 8th prince shows himself, he is already putting on a show of strength. A light flickered in Xiao Chen's eyes as he entered deep thought. The others did not know what he was thinking. Since the 8th prince is here, why not show yourself? Xiao Chen asked softly. His voice was not loud, but everyone in the city heard him clearly. At the same time, Xiao Chen silently spread out his dragon might. The citizens immediately felt the pressure on them lessen significantly. When they heard Xiao Chen's voice, they calmed down. You are not qualified to meet me. Release my people, and I can pretend that nothing happened. The eighth prince's voice was filled with majesty and anger as it echoed in the surroundings. With each word, the demonic might that shrouded Qingshan town intensified. The city was already on the verge of collapse. I'm afraid you have no choice but to show yourself, Xiao Chen said indifferently. Behind Qingshan town, a blood-colored bird appeared. Its feathers were as eye-catching as blood and glowed faintly. It opened its mouth and inhaled. This was the demon blood vulture. However, the terrifying demonic clouds were great nourishment to the demon blood vulture. As soon as Xiao Chen gave the order, he immediately began to gobble it up. In a short while, the clouds were dispelled and the sun could be seen. A figure appeared in the sky above Qingshan town. He wore a blood-red robe, and the collar and cuffs of the robe were lined with gold. He looked gorgeous and noble. With the demon blood vulture sucking, Xiao Chen had no choice but to reveal himself even if he did not want to. Xiao! Suddenly, a strong wind blew in front of Xiao Chen's group, making their clothes flutter and hair flutter. They could not even open their eyes. Amid a flash of red light, the eighth prince suddenly appeared before Xiao Chen's group. He showed a sullen expression, a murderous intent hidden in his eyes. A great perfection sovereign personage. This eighth prince's cultivation had already reached great perfection sovereign personage. Together with his demonic might and dynasty bloodline, his aura was heavy and oppressive. However, Xiao Chen's group remained expressionless, appearing calm and at ease. However, this eighth prince actually came alone. He did not have any guards or experts with him. Xiao Chen did not know whether it was because he was skilled and bold or because there were experts hiding in the dark. The eighth prince glanced indifferently at the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man. The other party felt somewhat embarrassed, not daring to meet the eighth prince's gaze. Xiao Chen said calmly, Name a price. If I'm satisfied, you can take this person away. Name a price? The eighth prince felt slightly stunned. Then, he mocked, This should be the funniest joke I've ever heard. You are just a mixed-blood dragon chased out of the divine dragon empire. To think that you dare to threaten me after capturing my people. Kassier. Without any warning, the eighth prince suddenly appeared and flicked his finger. A strand of scarlet energy shot out. Before the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man could react, a bloody hole appeared in his forehead. With his cultivation sealed, the scarlet-clad, middle-aged man was like an ordinary person. He could not block the eighth prince's strike at all and died on the spot. The scarlet-clad, middle-aged man fell to the ground, unable to get up. He died with his eyes wide open. He had thought that he was the eighth prince's trusted subordinate. Who could have imagined that the eighth prince would not even spare him a few glances before killing him? Sang and Qin Zhuolin felt somewhat shocked. Unexpectedly, the eighth prince was so ruthless. No one can threaten me, much less a trash. I thought that you were some incredible character. A mixed-blood dragon is just a mixed-blood dragon. Your vision is too low, and you are just a joke. I am here today, not for this trash but for the extreme body in your city. Name a price, and I will take him away. The eighth prince showed an arrogant expression as he looked coldly at Xiao Chen, not caring about the other party at all. Seeing the other party not saying anything, the eighth prince felt that he had been shocked by the other party's actions. Indeed, the eighth prince had not seen much of the world. A great perfection sovereign personage was incredible. He could be considered an expert anywhere. However, there were many such great perfection sovereign personages in the Xuewu dynasty. Killing one was not a big deal. Who allowed you to kill him? What did you say? The eighth prince felt slightly stunned. He gave Xiao Chen a somewhat strange look. Xiao Chen's words sounded strange. Shao Chun was just a subordinate with some royal bloodline. Did he need the 8th prince's permission to kill him? He is just trash. If I kill him, so be it. Do I need your permission? Even if he is trash in my hands. Boom. Before Shao Chun finished speaking, he immediately executed the Supreme Dragon Fist and punched. Dragon might spread out from Shao Chun's body. Together with the 10,000 dragons picture in his mind, this dragon fist was headless, both in form and spirit. The 8th prince felt slightly startled. Without much time to think, he could only counter with a punch. Bang! The punch knocked the 8th prince back the moment they clashed. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. Unexpectedly, the might of Shao Chun's punch could possess such horrifying destructive power. It did not seem like something a small perfection sovereign personage could execute. The offensive power contained in the punch far surpassed the limits of a small perfection sovereign personage. The 8th prince looked at Shao Chun in shock. You dare to attack me? You are seeking death. What shocked the 8th prince even more was that Shao Chun, a prince of the Xuewu dynasty, dared to attack him directly. Demonic might surged out of the 8th prince's body as he roared ferociously. An overwhelming might burst forth as he slammed the ground and ferociously launched himself at Shao Chun. Whoosh! As the 8th prince moved, his vast aura instantly crushed the hall where Shao Chun and the others were into rubble. A strange scarlet light flowed on the 8th prince's body, enveloping him like water. Shao Chun, this is the blood demon armor. It is very hard to break. Don't clash head-on with him. Qin Zhuolin recognized this strange martial technique, so he warned Shao Chun to avoid the 8th prince's attack for now and not clash head-on with the counterattacking 8th prince. However, Shao Chun ignored Qin Zhuolin. He directly executed the Supreme Dragon Fist's second move, storing up power. Shao Chun had already converted 50% of his blue dragon bloodline, and a 10,000 dragons picture appeared in his mind. Now that Shao Chun executed the top offensive secret technique of the dragon race, he could no longer be compared to the past. The Supreme Dragon Fists might appeared in his hand. Thousands of dragon images gathered on Shao Chun's body. When he punched, he knocked back the 8th prince, who was charging over with overwhelming demonic might. Third move, Heaven Dragon, no regrets. Lofty sentiments and righteousness gathered in Shao Chun's heart. This punch, no regrets, Heaven Dragon. Fourth move, Raging at the unfair heaven. The lofty sentiments and righteousness turned into rage. The world changed color, and the rage in Shao Chun's heart shook the sky. Bang! When Shao Chun executed the Supreme Dragon Fist's fourth move, the 8th prince's blood demon armor turned into a pool of blood with a crack forcibly breaking. The 8th prince vomited a mouthful of blood, and his complexion instantly paled. His blood demon armor actually broke. Qin Zhuolin, who was at the side, also felt greatly startled. Unexpectedly, Shao Chun was so ferocious, directly breaking the blood demon armor. Damn it! Blood held demonic eyes. The 8th prince roared furiously. His eyes glared and blood leaked out. The 8th prince looked sinister and terrifying. Strange golden talisman seals appeared in the depths of his eyes. Shao Chun, this is the Xuewu dynasty's secret technique. Once it is executed, it can summon out the endless blood hell that the Xuewu dynasty refined. That is the blood hell that the Xuewu demonic monarch led 3,000 demonic venerates to refine. Once trapped in there, only death awaits. Qin Zhuolin's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, Shao Chun could force the 8th prince into such a miserable state. In just a few moves, Shao Chun even had to execute the secret technique. All of you will die. None of you can escape. You have angered me. The 8th prince showed a ferocious expression. The blood hell image in the depths of his eyes slowly enlarged. Scarlet lightning continuously tore through the sky. A strong wind blew, kicking up sand and rock. It looked like the end of the world. However, Shao Chun did not panic. He calmly drew his saber, using martial and soul as one to execute only one saber strike. Aside from the saber in Xiao Chen's hand, only black and white remained in this world. Pu Si. The eighth prince cried out miserably. His eyes popped, pierced by the dazzling saber light. The eighth prince covered his eyes with both hands, feeling excruciating pain. Then, he screamed at the top of his lungs. Imperial uncle, help me kill him! Kill him! My eyes are blind! Qin Zhuolin and Sangli recovered from their shock. Their expressions changed drastically. There is someone else here? Plop! While the eighth prince felt bewildered, an old man fell to the ground in a sorry state. Chu Xiang and an old woman slowly descended with Qin Chen in the air. Qin Zhuolin could not help feeling startled. It turned out that the eighth prince had used demonic clouds to envelop Azure Mountain Town at the start. The eighth prince wanted his imperial uncle to silently take Qin Chen away. However, the eighth prince did not know that Xiao Chen had already come up with a countermeasure. Not only did the eighth prince lose his eyes, but his situation was also worrying. Chapter 2082. If Xiao Qin Chen did not settle down properly, the other party would come endlessly to seek trouble for Xiao Chen, becoming harder to deal with each time. What do you mean by this? Are you thinking of keeping this prince here? Xiao Chen, let me tell you this. Don't go overboard. Otherwise, even the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor will not be able to protect you. He glanced at the old lady beside Chu Xiang. The old lady's aura enveloped him, preventing him from making any big movements. Uncle, kill him for me. Kill him. I'm blind. In this world, apart from the saber in his hand, there was only black and white. When the eighth prince saw his imperial uncle being thrown down, he knew that it was all over. Seeing that the other party had left, Chu Xiang teased with a smile. The eighth prince let out a miserable shriek as his eyes were pierced by the dazzling saber light. Qin Zhuolin waved his hand and said, I don't need it. Just give it to Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt slightly stunned. However, he quickly understood. There were not many things that could interest Qin Zhuolin. Sang and Qin Zhuolin suddenly understood. It turned out that Xiao Chen had planned this all along. Back then, this person did not even give face to the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter. Qin Zhuolin could not help feeling startled. It turned out that the eighth prince had covered Azure Mountain Town with demonic clouds at the start. Even if he wanted to, he didn't know where Tian Xiang was. After Chu Xiang and Qin Chen greeted Xiao Chen, they left with the old woman. He had originally thought that he wouldn't need to spend too much energy on this experience, but it had destroyed both his eyes and left an indelible wound in his heart. The eighth prince had a fierce expression as the blood prison in the depths of his eyes slowly expanded. Blood-colored lightning continuously tore through the sky. A berserk gale blew sand and pebbles into the air. It was a scene of the end of the world. Xiao Qin revealed disdain in his eyes. He said indifferently, Cut the crap. You are just a prince. There are hundreds of princes in the Xuewu dynasty. Since when is it your turn to represent the royal court? Take out 5 million primeval heavenly pills. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving Azure Mountain Town today. I don't mind spreading your scandal in Azure Mountain City to the entire desolate sea. Qin Zhuolin looked at Xiao Chen and said with a smile, I said it before. Sooner or later, your name will shake the world. The old man was a sovereign emperor. However, the old woman from the heavenly fragrance Holy Land firmly suppressed him. After handing a storage ring to Xiao Chen, the old woman quickly left with the eighth prince. Where is the body of the previous holy daughter? Chu Xiang asked. However, he did not know that Xiao Chen had already made a plan to deal with it. Not only had he lost his eyes, but the only thing he could rely on was his situation. Did I say you could leave? After killing my men, you want to leave just like that? Isn't that a little too presumptuous? The eighth prince was infuriated. After putting away the storage ring, Xiao Chen said in a light voice, Since we've already become enemies, It would be a pity if I don't make him pay. That scarlet-robed middle-aged man was clearly the 8th prince's subordinate. Now that he had died at the 8th prince's hands, Xiao Chun had escaped justice. Whoosh! Xiao Chun looked at Qing Chen and said, "Go with them. The people in the village will help take care of your younger brother. They are all good people. Junior, don't be too extreme. Here are the primeval heavenly pills. Let's go." Qing Chen's eyes brimmed with tears. Now that she had grown up, she was the one who caused all this trouble. If she wanted to take revenge in the future, her eyes would be destroyed. Now, she would lose all faith in the royal clan. Xiao Chen said calmly, "I do not have any intention of making things difficult for this prince. I just want to repeat myself. Even trash has its value. He is, after all, a great perfection sovereign personage trash. You killed him just like that without showing any signs of gratitude, and now you want to leave? Oh right, Chu Xiang, this is the jade pendant your holy daughter wanted." Xiao Chun shouted coldly when he saw the 8th prince about to leave, showing no intention of letting the other party leave. Qin Zhuolin was truly a good friend. Xiao Chun had done too much for her. The 8th prince was already frightened out of his wits. If he had another choice, he would not come to Azure Mountain Town even if he was beaten to death. "All of you will die. None of you can escape. Xiao Chun, you have angered me." If the 8th prince handed Qing Chen over to the heavenly fragrance Holy Land, as long as the other party took a liking to Qing Chen, he would not dare to seek trouble for her. "Imperial uncle, let's go! TSK TSK. To think that it is the desolate city medallion. If I had known that it was this treasure, I would not have been so polite," Qin Zhuolin teased as he looked at the desolate city medallion in Xiao Chen's hand. The 8th prince covered his eyes with both hands and screamed at the top of his lungs in pain. As a geomaster, the bloodline of adventurers flowed in the 8th prince's veins. He could suppress the restlessness in his heart and remain in Azure Mountain Town for 4 years. Xiao Chen nodded with a smile. Such an ending was perfect for an extreme Yin body. He, "Big brother Xiao, you are really bold. To think that you dare to extort a prince of the Xuewu dynasty." To Xiao Chen, these 5 million primeval heavenly pills were like sweet dew after a long drought, resolving his urgent need. The desolate city medallion? Plop! We will definitely meet again. Qin Zhuolin laughed loudly and turned to leave. Qin Zhuolin exchanged looks with Xiao Chen. Then, he said, "Sorry, I have already become a desolate slave. There is nothing I can do about it. It looks like this jade pendant is something very important." Xiao Chen thought for a while before saying, "I was lucky. I relied on Brother Qin's help to find it. Take care. I look forward to meeting you again." Xiao Chen and Sang appeared somewhat surprised. Qin Zhuolin's decision was too sudden. "Xiao Chen, what is this?" Qin Zhuolin asked, still feeling confused. When Qin Zhuolin heard that, he immediately felt like laughing. Xiao Chen was simply too interesting. "This child is pretty good. I want to bring her back to the heavenly fragrance Holy Land. I have already spoken to her. However, I cannot let go of her little brother." Qin Zhuolin casually dealt with Xiao Chen's killing move. Then, he barely managed to throw a palm strike and force Xiao Chen back. Xiao Chen thought for a while before saying, "Senior, please help me take good care of Qing Chen. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter already agreed to owe me a favor. There is no need to make any more requests." Chu Xiang and the old lady's eyes dimmed upon hearing that. 5 million. Xiao Chen received the ancient medallion. Feeling somewhat puzzled, he still said politely, "Thank you, Senior." Xiao Chen and Sang wanted to keep Qin Zhuolin. However, the other party had already made up his mind, so they could not do anything. The main reason was that Xiao Chen was now extremely poor and urgently needed primeval heavenly pills. Although the 8th prince felt very sullen, he knew that there would not be a better result if he stayed. So, he decisively decided to leave now. Xiao Chen was rather straightforward. He shrugged and said, If you need it, I can give it to you. The eighth prince raged. Dream on. I only have 5,000,000 primeval heavenly pills on me. If you have the guts, kill me. You are too polite. It is time for us to go. Goodbye. You have already been here for 4 years. Since you are fine, I can rest assured. I am truly happy for you that you have such a fortuitous encounter. Do you still remember what I said to you when we first met? The old lady smiled and said, Child, your character is pretty good. No wonder Xiang kept saying good things about you along the way. How about this? I will give you a desolate city medallion. It is useless in my hands. With the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's interference, he could forget about obtaining the extreme Yin body. There was no need to even think about seeking trouble for Shao Chen. Right now, Qin Zhuolin's greatest reliance, the divine Vein Realm's sovereign uncle, was clearly not a match for the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's supreme elder. Just as the eighth prince felt uncertain, an old man was tossed to the ground in a sorry state. Chu Xiang and an old lady slowly descended with Qing Chen in the air. Shao Chen pointed to Chu Xiang and said, This is the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's Miss Chu Xiang. This is the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's senior. When they heard that Qing Chen has an extreme Yin body, they specially rushed over. They arrived 1 day ago, and are very satisfied with Qing Chen's talent. The severely injured eighth prince immediately paled in fright. He felt his entire body turn cold. The fear of death surged into his heart, turning into an invisible mountain blocking his throat. Shao Chen checked his storage ring. There was a small mountain-sized pile of primeval heavenly pills in there. After checking with his spiritual sense, he confirmed that the number was about the same. The heavenly fragrance Holy Land's old lady said to Shao Chen with some joy as she looked at Qing Chen. Shao Chen clearly knew that the focus of his conflict with the eighth prince was Qing Chen. To everyone's surprise, Shao Chen did not even think. He instantly drew his tyrant saber and his figure flashed. A resplendent saber light pierced towards the eighth prince. When the eighth prince heard this explanation, he felt so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. No one has ever dared to speak to this prince like that before. Shao Chen, are you really going to offend the entire Shiwu dynasty's royal court? Pu Xi, Qin Zhuolin and Sang Li recovered from their shock. Their expressions changed drastically. There is someone else here? As you wish. The bona fide heavenly fragrance's holy daughter actually became a desolate slave. Who could have imagined such an ending? Shao Chen had just taken out the jade pendant when the old lady pulled it over. After taking a look, she looked up in shock and exclaimed, It really is the heavenly fragrance jade pendant. How did you do it? Even I cannot barge through the heavenly Tao-killing formation. In the time it took for a spark to fly, a figure shielded the eighth prince. It was the sovereign emperor that the heavenly fragrance Holy Land's elder injured. Big brother, thank you. Qing Chen will be obedient. You have to take care of yourself as well. However, Shao Chen did not panic. He calmly drew his saber and executed martial and soul as one, launching only one saber strike. Shao Chen wanted his royal uncle to silently take Qing Chen away. Although he was blind, the eighth prince could still sense his surroundings with his soul energy. Haha. Thank you. However, you should keep it for yourself. You need it more than I do, Qin Zhuolin rejected with a smile. After a pause, he said, I'm leaving. How unfortunate. The old lady hesitated, her eyes filled with regret. After a moment of silence, she looked at Shao Chen and said, No matter what, the two of you have done a great service to my heavenly fragrance Holy Land by retrieving the heavenly fragrance jade pendant. Since the Holy Lord is not around, I will agree to a request on behalf of the Holy Lord. Chapter 2083. Qin Zhuolin's departure was somewhat strange, but it made sense. Qin Zhuolin was a geomaster, someone that even the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter had to treat politely. He could not possibly remain in Azure Mountain Town. It was already not easy for Qin Zhuolin to remain here for 4 years. As Xiao Chen watched Qin Zhuolin leave, he watched until he vanished from his vision before withdrawing his gaze. Xiao Chen, I have something to say, Sang said as he looked at Xiao Chen somewhat seriously. Sang looked at Xiao Chen somewhat seriously. Xiao Chen nodded and said, Speak. I want to stay here and leave the propping mulberry tree here. This is interesting. One wants to leave and the other wants to stay. I can rest assured with your decision. The people of this Azure Mountain town should be ordinary people from the Blue Dragon race's territory. They should have some connection to the Blue Dragon race. Actually, I am rather happy that you can stay. If Qin Zhuolin wanted to leave, Xiao Chen would have to leave sooner or later. The tiny Azure Mountain town could not even be considered a drop of dew in the vast desolate sea. Xiao Chen was ambitious and determined to reach the peak of the martial Tao. Naturally, he would not remain here. If the three of them left, no one could take care of the people of Azure Mountain Town if anything happened to them. Xiao Chen felt truly happy that Sang could stay here. Where do you intend to plant the divine tree? Sang pointed to outside the city and said, Right beside the ancient well. Propping mulberry trees like the cold, so they can make full use of the cold chi below. The illumination of the blood moon has a miraculous effect. In less than 100 years, propping mulberry trees will be able to grow. The propping mulberry tree and I are one. With it supporting each other, it will be of great help to my cultivation. It looked like Sang had planned this long ago, and had not made this decision on the spur of the moment. Let's go. The two's figures flashed, and they quickly arrived beside the ancient well. At this moment, the blazing sun hung high in the sky. As the two stood beside the ancient well, cold chi spread out, making them feel refreshed. Xiao Chen took out the propping mulberry tree from the Divine Universe steel. The divine tree sapling looked ordinary and unremarkable as he held it in his hand. It was hard to imagine that he was Fusang, one of the three great sacred trees in the world. Sang took the seedling, carefully placed it on the ground, and formed a hand seal. The propping mulberry tree's roots and branches kept growing, quickly seeping into the ground. The lush and massive roots and the palm-sized tree body looked somewhat uncoordinated. Sang, these are for you. Of the 5 million primeval heavenly pills that he extorted from the 8th prince, Xiao Chen was not stingy, giving 1 million to Sang. After Sang checked it, he was slightly surprised. However, he did not put on airs. He thanked Xiao Chen and accepted it. The two had a deep friendship, and would not exchange pleasantries over this primeval heavenly pill. When do you plan to leave? Where do you plan to go? Sang asked. Xiao Chen said softly, I won't be leaving anytime soon. As for where I'm going, I have no clue. Xiao Chen had already explored most of the secrets of the Blue Dragon's old lands. Now, his goal was to advance to the Divine Vein realm and inherit the Blue Dragon race's inheritance and treasures. However, advancing to the Divine Vein realm was very difficult. The veritable personage realm, the primal core realm, and the cloud sea realm. These three realms represented the limits of humans. Advancing to sovereign personage was already very incredible, and one would have to eliminate many cultivators. One would have a long lifespan, easily living for 5,000 years. Every world had its own heavenly Tao. The primes of the Kunlun realm could also live for thousands of years. That was because their cultivation had already reached the limits of the Kunlun realm. If they came to the Great Thousand Realms, they would not have such a long lifespan. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. Right now, Xiao Chen was only 47 years old in the Great Thousand Realms, and he already reached small perfection sovereign personage. Even among the countless outstanding talents of the 8 great empires, 4 dynasties, and the righteous and demonic Tao in the entire central great realm, people with such comprehension ability were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. However, when one reached sovereign personage, it was practically impossible for one's cultivation to rise quickly. This was because one had already reached the limit. Sovereign personage was already the limit of humans. Any further and they would surpass humans. They would be able to control divine energy and possess an undying body. Furthermore, they would be able to condense their Tao domain into a small world. Many of these methods were like myths, completely beyond Xiao Chen's imagination. Many people remained stuck at the sovereign personage realm for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years, unable to advance. They could only watch as their lifespan approached its limit, breaking through and waiting for death. It looked like there were only 3 steps for Xiao Chen to advance to the divine vein realm: Great Perfection Sovereign Personage, Peak Sovereign Personage, and Divine Vein. However, one of these 3 steps was 9 heavens. Right now, even if Xiao Chen broke through to Great Perfection Sovereign Personage, he did not feel confident. It was already very rare for Xiao Chen to advance from Peak Holy Venerate to Peak Small Perfection Sovereign Personage in a mere 4 years. This was equivalent to decades or even centuries of hard work for others. The road ahead was long. The most troublesome thing was that Xiao Chen did not know where to go next to cultivate. If he were in Ancestor Dragon City, there would not be so much trouble. A senior would give him pointers for every step of his cultivation. Factions like Ancestor Dragon City had tens of thousands of years of experience, such as which place to go for experiential training, what resources to give, and how to nurture them. They would not let their disciples feel lost. Xiao Chen came to this vast desolate sea alone. If not for a coincidence, he would not have been able to survive. If not for a coincidence, he would have obtained many fortuitous encounters in the land of the Blood Moon. His past few years might have been wasted. Xiao Chen could only remain in this azure mountain for now. Sang could see Xiao Chen's helplessness. He nodded and said, "Your cultivation has advanced too quickly in the past few years. Your combat experience as a sovereign personage is practically 0. If there is an opportunity, you should fight more with the remaining sovereign personages. Otherwise, you will find it hard to consolidate your accumulations." Xiao Chen thought about it and agreed. Although he had fought with the black and white eggs many times, they were not true fights to the death. Although he had been taught a miserable lesson, he had not had many life and death experiences. When he advanced to sovereign personage, he had only truly fought 2 or 3 times since he returned to Azure Mountain Town. Xiao Chen could only make up for the flaws in his saber Dao through constant battles. It was time for Xiao Chen to undergo true experiential training, to experience life and death battles. When Sang saw Xiao Chen in deep thought, he said softly, "Think about it yourself. I just planted the propping mulberry tree. I need to guard it for a while." Xiao Chen nodded and returned to his room alone. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen put aside all distracting thoughts for now. He still had 4 million primeval heavenly pills. He should make good use of them. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he entered the divine universe steel. A blood moon hung in the sky in the vast and boundless primal chaos space. There was a vast and ancient Tao platform in the center. The dazzling blood moon gave off a mysterious halo. It gave Xiao Chen the feeling that he could use it to enter the Blue Dragon ancient city. When Xiao Chen landed on the Tao platform, he gently waved his hand, and countless primeval heavenly pills immediately landed on the Tao platform. When the Tao platform was filled, Xiao Chen spent 500,000 primeval heavenly pills. Even though he had extorted them from the 8th prince, he still felt some heartache. Whoosh! The primeval heavenly pills filled the Tao platform. Without Xiao Chen's soul energy and veritable essence energy, the Tao platform could be easily driven. A boundless azure sea appeared before Xiao Chen. The various Tao platforms and secret realms of the Divine Dragon Empire appeared before him. At the end of the azure sea was an incredibly mysterious totem. It looked hazy and indistinct, impossible to see clearly. It looked like 500,000 primeval heavenly pills were far from enough to make the blue dragon totem of the Kunlun realm appear completely. However, Xiao Chen was in no rush to return now. He swept his gaze through the many Tao platforms and secret realms. After a while, he noticed the secret realm controlled by the third palace master of the Heaven Dragon Palace. He could even see the outline of the divine rank medicine cauldron that he loaned to the third palace master. That's it. With a thought, the motes of light that appeared in the azure sea sank back into the sea. Rumble! In the next moment, waves roared ferociously in the sea. The surface of the sea undulated, and a Tao platform emerged from the seawater. Shao Qin shouted, and the ancient Tao platform under his feet burst forth with a bright light and boundless talisman scripts. A spatial energy strong enough to tear apart stars infused into Shao Qin's body. Then, Shao Qin leaped into the air and landed on the Tao platform in the seawater. Whoosh! After Shao Qin stepped on the Tao platform, it quickly sank into the water. Soon, Shao Qin sank as well. In reality, the divine universe steel flashed with light and entered the void.